On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will do their best to provide hot takes on the Star Wars universe, considering there's not much to blow air over. They'll touch on some interesting AHSOKA insights, including a character redesign from Rebels, as well as when the show will take place during the Mandoverse timeline. Who knows where things will go next, but you know the dudes will steer the ship into the weeds at some point, so prepare for anything. Of course, the show will end with the question of the week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars Finalists.
And a bonus full AHSOKA trailer breakdown. How about that for timing? Punch it, Chewie. Hey, now everybody, welcome back to the Star Wars Time Show. Woo woo! Derpy Entertainment saying Star Wars is dead. I tend to disagree, but I guess we'll try to solve that mystery by the end of today's show. How we doing? Hello. Noin. Man, I was just talking to Nick. I was like, dude, going into today, I was like, oh man, this is going to be a fun one. We're really going to have to steer the ship into the weeds to produce any sort of interesting dialogue surrounding Star Wars, because there was nothing. They released that Journey to Ahsoka featurette, which was stupid. I mean, it's just like behind the scenes, blah, blah, yeah. Nothing to dig in. There's some Lego leaks that were going to give us something to talk about Jacen Syndulla, but that was about it. And then I think it was like noon, a little after noon, I get the beep. We got the full AHSOKA trailer. So I had to blow up the entire day, scrapped what I had planned for 269, changed gears, put it into overdrive, and here we are, ready to break down that awesome trailer, which I don't even have the post up, so we're not going to break it down yet. But hey, that's how things go in summer Star Wars. You never know where the news cycle will take you. But we are here and we have some real deal current Star Wars to talk about. And that is I guess they call it the official full trailer, even though I feel like the teaser we got, Nick, a few months ago was just as official and full as this one. But yeah, this is it. Apparently, this is the thing. We got, new poster, Rosario looking good as Ahsoka there. So we'll break that down. We'll spend some more time with Ahsoka talking about Jacen's new hair job. Harris kid, that is. And, you never know where the show will take you. So welcome home, my friends. Welcome home. We got Sir Dork in there, Derpy Entertainment, Jim the Night 12, Nova Toymation, Linda is here, and League Takes First. If you want to join in on the fun live, don't forget youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show, Tuesdays 5 p. East. On that tube. Woo! All right, man. Well, I guess we can get right into it because I don't have any pop culture to talk about. No new movies came out last week that I felt like getting into. You and I were I was bitching about the fact that the new Mission Impossible just kind of released out of nowhere today and tomorrow. So I'll probably talk about that next week. But since we got no bullshit to sling your way, I guess it's time to get right into some Star Wars time. I do want to give a shout out and just put everyone on notice here. But I, as in yours truly, made his voice acting debut this yesterday in the latest stop motion short from the great Nova Toymation. So check it out. It's a fun little bit. I play I'm kind of like an Imperial officer working in a kind of like a requisition type of office, Nick, and the big guy comes in looking for a new helmet, and I don't quite have the parts he needs, and it gets me in a bit of trouble. So it was fun, and I'm glad it worked out for Nova. I did a bunch of takes. I thought they all sucked, and I even think I sound like a douchebag in the final version, but it's awesome. to help out another Star Wars creator and to get some of my voiceover work out into the world. You know what I'm saying, Nick? I mean, it was quite the accent I put on. I think I was like, oh boy. So that was fun. But yeah, check it out at Nova Toymation. Check them out on IG, TikTok, the threads, all that fun stuff. And we are whatever it is, a collaborator. So you can also see it on our profile. But give him all the love. I just did some cheesy voice lines. He does all the magic and writes the scripts, comes up with the humor, does all the insane stop motion that looks super smooth. So check him out. Good times. I would love to do it again. Maybe we'll bring Nick in this time, as maybe we'll make Nick a stormtrooper.
A secondary stormtrooper.
That's right.
Somewhere.
That's right.
Somewhere in there.
Nick cut some lines. It was fun. I was like, hey, sign me up. Disney, I'm ready. Pixar, that's all I needed. I got 1 credit now. I'm going to fire up my IMDb, and we are off to the races. I'm going to be starring in Star Wars Rebels Season 6, The Lost Season, as
there you go.
Imperial Rec Officer Bob. No yub nubs, Sir Dork. That's safe for Scoundrels of the New Republic, which again, we're still sitting on Chapter 2. We haven't quite put our heads together to figure out when we're going to release that. I have a feeling it's probably going to be like the first week or so of August, but we'll talk. We always have very serious meetings after the show where we get all the shit kind of laid out. And last but not least, we were asked by a fairly large Star Wars YouTube channel, Star Wars Transmissions, to do some content with them. So we'll keep all of you abreast of that situation. But that should be fun. Maybe draw some eyes to the channel, bring some more yahoos over here for our lovely little show we do on Tuesdays, or as close as we can get it to you. I'm not digging my lighting these days, but I don't care. All right, my friend, it's time to do what we do best, and that is to blow tons of hot air about speculative Star Wars series plot points, okay? So this is how we do it here. We have some screenshots you can see on the live stream. If you're not on the live stream, you're just listening on podcast platforms, fear not. You can pull up the post on StarWarsTime.net and scroll along with us. So first and foremost, Nick, I feel like this trailer that released today on July 11, it definitely focused kind of on the dark tone that AHSOKA is going to present, at least for a good part of its narrative. Baylan and Shin, I think, got a lot of light. We got some new dialogue out of them that helped kind of paint a picture of what's going down, what they're up to. We got some new dialogue, some very interesting dialogue from AHSOKA and Hera about AHSOKA's relationship with Sabine that I want to talk to Nick about. I mean, are we talking Master Apprentice? Are we talking Force Goo? I mean, what's that all about? So we'll definitely hit on that type of stuff. But it was a slick trailer. I think the show looks great. I'm loving the tone. But Nick, to me, the standout so far, even though I love the character, love Rosario, I think is Baylan. Like that dude, Rey's presence on screen, the kind of the physical presence he has, the actions his character is putting forth, what he's saying, the tone of how he's saying it, he just stands out to me as like I think I'm really gonna dig this bad guy.
Yeah, he was definitely the most interesting part of the trailer. I think a big part of it is because when we watch the trailer, he's like, him and Shin are the only two characters that we really can't, like, we really don't have a history with. We have no idea what their motivations are. We know that they are working with like Morgan Elsbeth to now we can basically like fully confirm that they're working with Morgan Elsbeth to help bring Thrawn back into the galaxy for some reason. In the trailer, like, you know, I think a question is posed about like, well, what happens when Thrawn comes back, and then Baylan says something like power or something. So
don't worry, I wrote down all the quotes for us, Nick. We got it. Don't worry.
So there you go. So like they're you know, on the side of the bad guys here, on the side of bringing Thrawn back. I thought that they were really cool. But yeah, I mean, like, aside from individual characters, I do think that the most interesting part of the trailer itself was kind of this relationship that you mentioned between AHSOKA and Sabine and what exactly was going on prior to their, I mean, what seems like Sabine's decision to kind of distance herself from Ahsoka. Was it like
they got beef almost, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's
or actually, I mean, we'll get to it at the scene, but Ahsoka pretty much admits, like, I left Sabine just like I left Anakin. It's kind of a trend with Ahsoka. When shit gets a little tough and awkward, she walks away.
Yeah, when the going gets tough, she gets going,
which is odd for that character, but I dig it. I dig it.
So yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of possibilities for that. Obviously, we know that when Sabine was in possession of the Darksaber during Rebels, she did a lot of training with Kanan just to like hone her ability to use that weapon. And I wonder if that is what was going on, like a continuation of that training with Ahsoka and Sabine after the events of Rebels. Is that what was going on? Is Sabine Force sensitive in some sort of way? It seems like based off of a very quick interaction between Shin and Sabine, it looked like she either is very weak in the Force or just had no Force abilities at all, so much so that Shin says, "You have no power," as they're in the middle of a lightsaber battle. So that part of it was definitely the most interesting to me, is like trying to unpack what this like master and apprentice relationship could be, or what the dynamic between Sabine and Ahsoka was after the Rebels epilogue, and what was expected of what was the expectation that Sabine had for her training, if there was training that was going on with Ahsoka, and how did it go bad? And bad in such a sense that like Hera literally has to tell Ahsoka, like, well, the best person for this job is, so who it is.
That is very interesting, I think, to people like us. I mean, we all kind of had an idea of the bond these two had post Rebels. I mean, Ahsoka shows up in her whites, like, hey, let's rock and roll. It seemed like they were committed. They were working together. But it does sound over the first maybe episode or two, and maybe that's why we're getting the 2-part drop, that we are going to learn that their relationship, Ahsoka and Sabine, at some point in time, it fractures for whatever reason. Like Ahsoka physically takes herself off the map. It's like her thing. And again, a lot of people always hate the version of Luke we got in the TLJ, but if you really think about it, his masters were the same way. I just read Yoda number 9, Nick, and for the first time in print, if you needed it, Yoda says specifically, I am essentially quarantining myself on Dagobah because I fucked up so bad. The galaxy is better off without me. The exact same thing Luke Skywalker did. And it's seeming like Ahsoka, even though she isn't responsible for any of these major fuck-ups, she kind of embraces that philosophy as well. Is like, you know what? I'm better off just taking myself out of the galactic politics or whatever, and the galaxy will be better off if my presence is not mixed within it. So I don't know, it's a weird trend with these people that touch the Skywalkers, or the Skywalkers kind of crossed into their lives in some capacity.
Yeah, it seems like they don't learn well from their previous masters. I think that, obviously the choice by Yoda and Obi-Wan was kind of made out of necessity because there was a giant purge happening. And even if they did kind of stay out in the open, probably wouldn't have gone well. But I also think that there was something to be learned from that decision, and I don't think that
that's
that
the
Luke
funny
did
thing.
a great job learning, and I don't think that Ahsoka did a great job learning about how to handle situations like that properly. But
I mean, look at Ahsoka in the Mandoverse timeline. She's almost scared to even be near Grogu, another Force user. She's like, she's like, no. You never know. You don't know what's going to happen when you train motherfuckers that have connections with the Force, i.e. my former master. But anyway, check out. I just broke down this comic. I think I put it out there today. Check it out, though. The end is very interesting because it shows you the first time that Yoda acknowledges Obi-Wan in Force Ghost form. It's funny because for the past few issues, you hear this disembodied voice like, Master, will you just listen to me? And Yoda keeps ignoring it. This is all on Dagobah. But this issue, finally, after he had kind of like a prequel flashback to kind of explain why Yoda is the way he is now, he finally is like, Obi-Wan, I know you've been there. I just haven't felt like connecting with you yet. And that's where he literally says, like, I could pull up the page. I'm not going to waste time. But he pretty much says, the reason I'm not getting involved, I'm not trying to help, I'm not getting mixed up in this movement, or that movement, is because I failed. I couldn't stop Palpatine. He did all this on my watch, and when I had a chance to beat him down in the Senate, he even beat me there, so I quit. And that's the first time like it's been written that Yoda, just like Luke, past him, quit because of their failure and their reasoning for, well, it was my fault. Therefore, if I'm not involved, then I can't make it any worse, I guess, is what they're thinking. But Obi-Wan, Nick, the whole time, Force Ghost Obi-Wan's like, dude, really? Like, come on. Like, come on, we can do it, buddy. So it seemed like Obi-Wan is the one that ultimately convinced Yoda and whatnot that, yeah, let's invest in this Skywalker kid. Let's not give up on him. Let's keep going because we think he can do it. It was not Yoda. Yoda was done. Like Yoda equals The Last Jedi Acto Luke. They're no different. Same character.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of instances in Star Wars history where like you can like use the words of the Jedi against themselves. Like in this case, it's an instance of only Sith deal in absolutes, and like that's exactly what Yoda was doing. It was just like it was very much all or nothing. It's not like he was like, okay, well, I know that there's an active rebellion going on. I know that there's this groundswell of people who are fighting against the rebellion. Like, let me help out in ways that I can without like fully exposing myself or without like putting myself on the battlefield. Probably there was a good medium for him somewhere in there, but it seems like that is one of the rules that the Jedi always like literally can never like follow through on, right, is like not acting in absolutes, because it's like
your same thing. That's a great point, because their same trope with or mantra with relationships, that's absolute, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's like you need to make a decision whether you do act in absolutes or you don't. Like, but yeah, I mean, it was one of those things though where it's like it's a very traumatizing experience, obviously, to have your entire order just like completely wiped out by a hidden presence that you guys missed for decades.
Well, for him, like, for close to a century almost. I mean, you gotta remember, Yoda was hanging out the whole time. Like whatever happens in the Acolyte, Nick, we could say, well, yeah, that's your fault too.
Yeah, for people who are like super trained in like controlling one's emotions, like assessing situations, understanding the best, or supposedly being able to understand the best way to like make use of your resources, like they don't do that very well. Like they're like Jedi oftentimes, or in most instances that we've seen, are like, we lost. I guess that means I just have to go away forever.
It. They're like, fuck it, it's over. Life is over.
Yeah,
they're really Jedi. They're like the Eeyore of Force users. And if you don't know who Eeyore is, he's me, but from Winnie the Pooh. Eeyore is like, oh, life sucks. Nothing ever goes my way. Oh, they die. You know, it's just like that type of shit. You're right. I mean, that's kind of how they are. But anyways, if you like the comments or comics, check us out. I do quick caps and reviews of the Yoda line, Star Wars proper, and Darth Vader. The Yoda, it's been fun. A lot of good stuff in the past with Count Dooku. But you can see through these flashback nicks, it's like Yoda is thinking about all these times where he thought he was giving good lessons, but they were the lessons that ultimately prevented him from being able to see what the Sith were doing. And it's been kind of fun as a fan of lore to just see the little guy reflecting on his failings that he once thought were teachings, the right way to do it. So good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what, you know, you would hope that like a leader, especially in her, or like in his like respect, like in Yoda's respect, would be able to like see and learn from that. But
Well, he
was not great at learning
He
from
did
his
by The
mistakes.
Last Jedi. Remember, he's out there like, yeah, screw it.
Yeah, after he had been dead for fucking 50
he's like,
years
hey, you
or
know,
whatever it
the
is.
ones we teach, they actually teach us. Now I'm gonna light the fucking tree on fire. Fuck you. You know, he's just fucking hanging out. He's like, Yoda comes back from the dead. He's a little looped up on spice, like. All right, it's Ahsoka time. Let's do it. All right, so we'll get to the first still there, which and it actually, Nick, I might go full screen. Yeah, well, this is good enough. Fuck it, who cares? I think it clarified some things because at one point in time, the second shot of that of the ship in the New Republic dock, we're like, oh yeah, that's Ahsoka. Well, no, it's not. We now learned that it's Baylan and Shin, and they're flying. It looks similar to like the Bad Batch's Marauder, but it's not. It's got a totally different fuselage. Like the cockpit is way different. But either way, that's the ship that we saw a few weeks back, and we're like, oh, that's just Ahsoka docking in. Nope, it's the bad guys, as you can clearly see in the second part of the trailer that was new. You got Baylan and Shin there. Baylan's got kind of these pimped out velvety robes with like some trim on it, where, you know, Shin is sporting your more traditional dark brownish Force user garb. And we get a great line to kind of kick into this. And you know what? R.I.P. Ray, because fuck, the guy's got such timbre in his voice. He goes, war is inevitable. One must destroy in order to create. And it seems like he's talking to the New Republic officer potentially, but you never know in a trailer, right? So
could be dubbed over from
exactly. But clearly, Nick, one thing we can infer from the opening shots of the trailer are that Baylan and Shin, for whatever reason, potentially to hunt down information, or maybe even Ahsoka herself, because I guess my question to you, so these scenes with them on the New Republic ship, do you think this happens before or after we see Ahsoka visit the New Republic flotilla?
I mean, I would assume that this happens. I don't know, man. Like, so it has to happen after, I would imagine, if they're tracking her, because there's no reason for them to like just randomly roll up to a New Republic vessel, dock, kill people, and then leave. Like,
are you thinking could this potentially like be the opening? I mean, do they go right into focusing on the bad guys and then cold open into Ahsoka, or do we start with her on her little mission to that site, that relic site?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this would be an odd cold open for sure. Because like I said, it's like, what's the motivation of them being there? Like, there's no reason for them to like approach a New Republic vessel if there wasn't somebody that they weren't looking for.
Right, or information. Like if they know that this vessel has maybe Morgan got locked up and they're trying to break her out of the New Republic. Like, that's the one weird thing. We still don't know what happened to Morgan at the end of that episode. If you go back and watch, she's just gone. She's not like locked up. She's not captured. We don't see dead bodies or anything. And clearly she's still alive because she's in this. And we now know the timeline for this. So,
I mean, I think that was just like a literal, like, we're just reclaiming this town that you've taken over. And now you have to go somewhere else, maybe. Like, that she wasn't like, there was no New Republic presence on Corvus. So when she lost,
we just don't know where she went after Ahsoka beat her. Like, did Ahsoka disappear? No, because we have this show coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that she goes back to Dathomir, like she goes back to her home planet to like regroup, and then she reaches out to Baylan and Shin for assistance, because now, like, I think that may be kind of a likely thing, is like Baylan and Shin were described to us at the beginning of this show, or like when all of the marketing and all of the information started coming out, as mercenaries. So how would they get pulled in? Well, in my opinion, the way that it happens is like right after Corvus, Morgan Elsbeth's like, okay, I'm in over my head. Like there's like,
I got a Force user on my ass. I need some help.
Yeah. It's like, I'm very skilled in what I can do, but like, there's only so much that I can do against Force users. Like, I can't just like take her in single combat. It's not going to happen. So she probably reaches out to Shin and Baylan, or to at least Baylan at that time, potentially not even knowing that he has like an apprentice, and says like, hey, I need your help with this. I know that you're not you don't lean either way. You're kind of in the middle. You're a mercenary for hire. So why don't you come work for me?
Right.
With the end goal being, we get this guy Thrawn back in. He obviously knows who Thrawn is because he was a part of the Jedi Order and stuff like that. And obviously, if you're in the galaxy at a certain point in time, you know who Thrawn is because he was such a big presence. She sells him on, once Thrawn comes back in, unlimited power, Palpatine style, baby. Like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, I'm with you. I do think she brings him in Merc style, but it also seems like Balin is fully behind the job, not just taking it for money. Like, he's like, oh yeah, no, this is good. Like, I'm doing this one for free, Morgan. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more around, like, there was a promise of more than just, like, it may not have even involved money at all. Like, it was probably a promise more of, like, power station and influence and everything else, rather than just like, here's your credits. Once the job's done, get the fuck out of here. Because I think that this is almost like,
seems like they're going to form more of a bond than just, Merc for hire. It's like they're all committed to this mission for whatever reason. And I am with you. I don't think like Balin, Shin, and Morgan were hanging out a lot before this job.
No, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I definitely think that Morgan knew of Balin, and Balin probably knew of Morgan, just because after the fall of the Republic, we know that Balin goes basically into mercenary work. So if you're running around in those types of circles, then you're going to cross paths. Like, almost assuredly, they had crossed paths before, which is why Morgan probably knew to reach out in times of need when it comes to like Force users and stuff like that. So I would assume that there's some sort of at least passing.
Yeah, I'm with you. She's not like just going to post something on the Hollow and Grief's replacement's going to be like, oh yeah, we know some
user
people.
mercenary to fight off ex-Jedi. From,
exactly.
I don't think that wasn't like a Craigslist post.
People with unaligned Force users with orange lightsabers that are angry. Please apply, call after 5 p.m. All right, so they're on this ship, and I do, it probably is post-AHSOKA unless it is an information seek.
Because I doubt that, like, it would be really surprising if Morgan hired them and then was just like, or Morgan linked up with them and then was like, hey, yeah, just go assault this Republic or this New Republic vessel.
Yeah, they're there on purpose. It's very purposeful. They're not there to just kill blue shirts, even though it looks like that's all they're doing, and it looks like it's going to be fun to watch. But yes, I'm with you. This is a mission of purpose. So we kind of get through the slides. He's clearly talking to an officer. I don't know if he's a general or whatnot. And that's where you get the "we are no Jedi," and it just goes into some fucking kick-ass. Leaning towards the dark side, because we can't call these people Sith Force user action. I mean, without even flinching, Balin just sits there, and Shin, like a rabid animal, just springs into action. Just whacks this Mon Cal officer right off the bat. Then we get some of the, we saw it in the first trailer. We get the Balin's hallway moment, which is going to look fantastic. I love the shot where you don't see Balin, you just see New Republic soldiers flying through the hall. It's like, okay, he's doing his best Darth Vader, if not an even better version of it. But yeah, he delivers the we are no Jedi as he impales the New Republic officer. So like I said, my friends, Balin is already my favorite character from AHSOKA. And I love AHSOKA, I love Sabine, I love all the fucking rebels, for Christ's sake. But this guy, in just 30 seconds of a trailer, is becoming a favored Star Wars character of mine, and I don't know dick shit outside of what we've gotten in these trailers and in some interviews. I love his outfit. It's like it is, Nick, it's kind of a blend of Jedi, Sith, and new, because he's got, I don't know if anyone saw it, but on his vertebrae, he's got like these armored plates on his shirt. He looks very more traditional medieval knight, if you will. Does that make sense? Like dressed in his leathers and whatnot, than the Force users of his era. So the guy just looks like a fucking boss. I mean, lacking the plastic helmet and breather, he's up there with Vader.
Yeah, no, he looks unique pretty much like as unique as you can while still being like in the style of like Dark Force user Star Wars-esque type of thing. And it's probably because like, you know, in your work as a mercenary, and then also if you think of this, like, you know, he survived, I mean, again, like he survived the Jedi Purge. And how did a lot of those Jedi die? They got shot in the back. So put some armor on your back, buddy, because you, especially doing mercenary work, you never know when a laser bolt's going to fly from behind and try to take you out.
We know now for a fact that, I mean, Balin was Jedi Knight minimum during the Clone Wars. Like he was no apprentice. He was fighting. He knew of Skywalker. He more than likely was a general, unlike Ahsoka, who I think was just commander until the end. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm loving the guy. This is a figure. I doubt they'll make one, but I want a hot toy Balin right now. And Shin. I just, two fucking Force users in their robes. I mean, you don't see that a lot. Really, I mean, think about it. You really only got to see that type of stuff in the prequels, and then that was all the goody two-shoe dogmatic Jedi assholes. Like, I like a dark side Force user with their garb on, going around fucking people up. It's fun. And this trailer gave us plenty of that. So, we are no Jedi as he stabs out. Then we shift, we get a new look at, I believe, that relic that Ahsoka goes to and fights those droids at, Nick. And it's some mural. It's a carving on the wall. It kind of looks like a female humanoid alien type of figure. And she's got this glowing orb kind of levitating in her hands. Clearly, this is going to be tied to whatever drive Morgan's going for, the World Between Worlds, if that's going to be looped into the drive, which looks like it is. But I'm positive this character, this visage, has nothing to do with the Father, the daughter, and the Son of the Force Trinity, if you will. I don't know if you had any what do you think that the orb is? I mean, do you think that's like the device they're all looking for this World Between Worlds engine, as I'm gonna call it?
Yeah, I mean, just off of like what we've seen so far and like Star Wars that we could equate it to, it looks similar to the stone, like the Seeing Stone that Grogu was sitting on in previous episodes of The Mandalorian.
I'm talking about the lady, like the carving.
Yeah, no,
I
know you're talking about the lady. I'm saying that the green or the gold orb that she's holding is fashioned in a way that looks exactly like that Seeing
with
Stone.
Like those etchings on it, how it kind of had like those lines etched. Okay, yep.
Yeah, I mean, the lady herself, who the fuck knows? But the stone, the gold stone is definitely.
Like the Seeing Stone or whatever that was called.
Yeah, a Seeing Stone or some sort of link. I don't know if it's like just like an effigy. Like, I don't know if it is like, if it's actually something that they require, or if this is just like a part of this whole relief that was like built into this wall, and it is like a symbol of something that they need, or if it actually is something that can be like extracted off of that.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's symbolizing a device they need, or like you said, this could be the device itself that Ahsoka is going to retrieve, the pop out or whatnot.
So it's definitely like a World Between Worlds link, because it's so similar to the one that we already know is connected to the World Between Worlds from Grogu's time on Tython. So yeah, I mean, it's
since you brought the woman
Tython
herself
up so hard.
The next shot, Nick, clearly, I mean, this is not Tython, all right? We can establish that, but it's clearly another Force temple of some sort that is structured very much like what we saw in The Mandalorian on Tython. It doesn't appear to have the Seeing Stone in the middle. But Nick, I guess from your Legends lore, would these essentially, are these just the remains of ancient Jedi temples, or were these structures built this way, where they're open air structures that they could go and do whatever?
I mean, honestly, there wasn't really anything like this in the old Legends like stuff.
Okay.
Like there weren't like these seeing stone markers or something like that at least that I was aware of. That could have been in like other stuff that I hadn't read or hadn't played through. But I mean, this is definitely not the remains of a temple because it's too small. And from what I can tell here, it looks like the stone, like this is the same type of place. I mean, this could be like, you know, these things could have been placed, or like these, you know, ritual sites could have been placed on like nexuses of like especially powerful force, energy,
like
and
altars or markers. Like, hey, this is a special location where you can come and meditate, or
you can do like, it would almost be, it's like a good kind of comparison to make, but it's almost like a nexus point to where like if there's something that you want to do that is not possible like through normal means of force use, like it's almost like an amplification zone.
All right,
it's like you can come here and and like you can, because of the powerful crossing of or the powerful, like, you know, source of force power here, you can do things that you usually wouldn't be able to do with the force when you're on this location, and if it's channeled through one of these like particular stones, which in this case, this image here looks like the stone itself has been removed, because you can see the spot where it was, like where all of those nexus, like where all of those lines are converging, you can see the circle where it should be, but clearly it's not there. And this is almost exactly like the one that Grogu was using.
I wonder like if there's a significance between the number of pillars. Was there's like 9 on the outer, and it looks like there was at one point 9 on the inner. I mean, to me, Nick, do you almost get it almost feels like the Jedi Council chamber room, you know, the circular room where they all sit around and pontificate. But I think what you're saying is what I'm going to buy. That it's like an amplifier. It's a natural occurrence of whatever force energy, and if you already have the ability to tap into it, if you're here and you really focus and channel, just like Grogu did. I mean, the motherfucker just sat on the stone and it shot a goddamn beam into the galaxy that Luke Skywalker was able to feel. So clearly that's not too far off. So I think young Nick wins this one. Take it to the fucking bank. Cha-ching.
All right. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting because, like, I would assume that there are a lot of these points across the galaxy on different planets. Yeah, well, stuff. Like obviously, we know this like is every planet's not going to have one.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, planets like, you know, Felucia or Tatooine, or you know, like
Tatooine
really kind
definitely
of like
doesn't have one. We've been there so many fucking times that we would have seen it by now.
If we go to Tatooine and they all of a sudden have one of these things, and be like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on, what does this planet not have?
An ocean, but it used to, right? According to the Sand People.
It used to have an ocean.
All right, so Nick, while we're seeing these scenes, we get the line from Shin. What happens when we find Thrawn? And this is where Balin comes in, where I was saying, like, well, this guy definitely has a chub for the power, too. But he says, power such as you've never dreamed. And we can see Morgan in the center of this area we're talking about, channeling her night sister, supposedly magic, force magic, whatever you want to call it. And it then kicks into Nick. It's like they turn on something. And this is why I'm calling it like a World Between Worlds drive. And, you know, we read rumors that she was building some sort of vessel, some sort of ship. This may be it. It may not be a vessel per se. It may be like a warp portal of some sort. That because you can see, right? It goes through the trailer. This thing buzzes up. You get like this ball of energy and light just sequestered around this, as we're calling it, this force fountain. And I don't think we get any new lines there. But I will say that while this is going on, if you look in the second shot I have of this World Between Worlds engine, Nick, there are other people there with them. There's an additional ship there, and I think it's going to be some of these thugs that we see down in the trailer that are fighting. Sabine's fighting one of them. I don't know if we see Ahsoka fighting them, but they are there with some backup. It's not just Morgan, Shin, and Balin. But what do you think? I mean, do you think this is part of a ship, or do you think this is the device? It's going to be a portal of some sort.
I mean, it's
or Nick, fuck the ship and they just truly world between worlds and pull them out. I don't know. What do you think?
I think I mean, the most logical A to B way is to use if you know of the world between worlds and then you can access the world between worlds, the best way to get Thrawn back is all right, just pull this motherfucker through like Ezra did to Ahsoka. Go back to a moment where you know that he can be extracted and do it that way. And then that way you don't have to worry about if you build, because here's the problem. Even if you build a ship, you don't know where he is. Unless they were able to somehow track the location of the Chimera from something, you don't know where he is.
That's a great point, because I mean, apparently the what's his name from The Mandalorian, Admiral Shithead or Captain Shithead, he's like, yeah, no, Thrawn's coming, we're good. How did they know? How do they know where is it all bluff? Yeah. That's a good point to make.
Yeah, so it's in my opinion, it's one of two things. It's a straight up world between worlds portal device where they can extract use of the world between worlds, even though it wasn't revealed to them in a proper way, like it was with Ezra and like it was with Kanan and stuff like that. Because up to this point, that's the only way that we know how you can access it, is you almost have to be chosen to access the world between worlds. It's not just well, at a certain point in your Jedi training, you learn about the time travel thing. That's not how it works. But it seems like Morgan Elsbeth has somehow figured out a way to tap into the world between worlds without being granted access to it. So in my opinion, it's either they truly do just have the power to turn the world between worlds on and jump to a location or a time, and then can work from there. Or if it really is a vessel, then it is a vessel that is powered by the energy of the world between worlds and would essentially allow them to time travel with almost like a TARDIS or something like that from Doctor Who.
Yeah, Listen, I know it's been established. I hope this series doesn't get into, oh yeah, we're just going to pop back to Rebels and pull Thrawn out, and then we just hide him for the entire rebellion, and then we bring him back. It worked for Ahsoka because it worked. I hate to say it that way, but it did. For Thrawn, things get a lot more messy because of the established canons. If they did go and grab him before he gets lost, then why did Thrawn just watch the Empire fall as a supreme strategist?
Yeah, I mean, it could be another moment literally exactly like it was in Ahsoka. It's the moment that him and Ezra were going to fucking get purgilled away to wherever they get purgilled away to. They come in, extract him right at that moment. And then it's okay, well, you don't have to worry about oh, well, where was Thrawn at the moment when the fucking Empire fell? I guess
they could take. Well, if it is traveling time, they could just take him back to the current. Yeah, they just
take him back to the present time,
right.
to the. Now we're confirmed. That's the other thing now, is that this is confirmed to be taking place versus in Mando S3 timeline. Yep. So they would just essentially he would just lose all those years.
Okay.
He would just be okay, well,
I would like that, as long as it's not, oh hey, we just popped him out and then he hid, and that would be
we
silly.
Kept him in a bunker.
So yeah, keep it like a portal or an engine of some sort. Let's not get too goofy with the timeline. All right.
Yeah. It's kind of inevitable at this point. I feel there's unless they do it a very specific way, there's probably going to be some timeline wonkiness, but that's just kind of the deal you make when you play with time travel. You just kind of have to. It's going to happen.
Just like how Jacen Syndulla changes his hair and appearance in between animated and live action. That's just what happens. Those are some things that you can't compromise, or that you can compromise on. Okay, going into the trailer, Nick, we got a much bigger look at the New Republic flotilla. There's some blockade runners in there. You had some frigates. You had your traditional Mon Cal cruisers. it seemed like the fleet was almost mustering, and I wonder, is in the planet, Nick, it didn't even look like Coruscant. Like there's not that many lights on the surface. So I guess what the fuck do you think's going on here? Is this like the last of the Republic fleet? Where is it hanging out? What the hell's it doing?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it could literally, like, maybe this is just like completely disconnected from the rest of the storyline, because like right now, Mando S3 timeline, the New Republic government is probably focused on like, hey, let's try to wipe out the remnant of the Empire where we can. So like, if you find remnant Empire, let's just fucking wipe them out, be done with this. Then we can move into demilitarization, because that's what Mon Mothma wants to do, and move on from there. So it could literally be like we're just seeing a scene of the New Republic flotilla taking out remnant Empire somewhere over a planet,
or
that's
just
kind of hard
like
to
it
judge.
could be a transition scene for all we know. I mean,
yeah,
you gotta remember, a lot of times these trailers are only from the first 3, maybe 4 episodes. So
that's true. I mean, it could also be this is them moving to Hosnian Prime. Like we know that the seat of the New Republic is not on Coruscant. We know that the seat of the New Republic was on Hosnian Prime in the Hosnian system. And like, we haven't really seen them make that jump yet, because in Manda, or what was it? Was it Manda?
Yeah, no, you're right. They're still on
it,
Coruscant. Like they're
still on Coruscant. So like, they still need to make that move.
And
I mean, Nick,
this looks like, because they were even talking about demilitarization in Mando S3. So to me, this looks like this probably is it. Like this is the New Republic fleet, or what's left of it. I mean, you have 3 cruisers there. You have multiple frigates, multiple blockade runners, and a bunch of snub fighters and A-wings and whatnot. You don't just like chill with that type of shit. I think this is the New Republic Navy. And we may possibly see the Remnant or Thrawn's return come here and fucking nearly wipe this thing out as well. Like, kind of playing to Nick's point, this Navy could get almost fully decimated, and that could be the impetus for getting the fuck out of Dodge and going to Hosnian Prime as well.
Yeah, and it's tough too, because like there's so many open questions on like how Thrawn returns and what, like in what,
and the power, like the power Balin talks about, right? Like, listen, we all know Thrawn is a master strategist, but what sort of power that you've never dreamed, a Force user's never dreamed of. So I think some of the rumors and leaks got to be true, that wherever he was chilling, he has met some other people that have opened his eyes or exposed him to this power that you've never dreamed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like you can draw so many parallels to so many different Star Wars properties, because that's the same thing that happened with Revan. Like Revan gets shunted, like him and Malik travel out into the unknown regions, chase down the remaining Mandalorians from the Mandalorian Wars, and he comes back as a fucking Sith, because there is just this emperor out there that's been in the unknown regions of space, and he gets a hold of Revan and Malik and turns them. Is there a situation like that with Thrawn, where like he runs into a like some sort of like ancient Force user and is now like imbued with power? I hope that's not it. What I really think it is it's like Morgan Elsbeth is just a sycophantic follower of Thrawn. Like she is such a devoted like acolyte to Thrawn that she's just convinced that like whenever he comes
pumped
back,
him up a little bit.
Yeah, like I don't even like. Has she even been in contact with him? Like,
right.
Like what level of information does she actually have from Thrawn? Because as far as we know, nobody's even been in contact with him, and we're not even 100% sure if Morgan's been in contact with him. We just know that she is working extremely hard to bring him back.
You would hope that there is that they're going to explain this, because you're bringing up great points. Because like, how does she know? Why does she need him so bad? Like, listen, I don't want to get you Thrawn bros upset. I love the guy too, but in the end, he was just a brain and a strategist. It's not like he had some mystical power that people would fawn over and be like, hey, if we bring him back, it's going to change our lives. Like, no, that the Thrawn we know that's not him. So he's clearly, and Nick, you are like, she has to know something. Obviously, it'd be odd, like you're saying, if she didn't. It's just, what did he find? Why did he give him this power? Does he have it physically, or is it more he's bringing the Force with him? That's probably the case.
I almost think that like the power is. I almost think that the power is not connected to Thrawn.
Correct. No, I'm with you. It is like this Night Sister magic, or how they use the Force in the unknown regions. That to me is going to be the power. We've heard about undead armies too. Like, did he learn through these people how to raise the dead? Because we've heard those through rumors as well.
Some real dumb shit if they did that.
That's the Night Sister way. They definitely reanimate corpses.
Yeah. But I almost think that the power is unlocking the world between worlds. Like the power for Balin and Shin is like once we can, like, if we are successful in going back and like pulling Thrawn back into our current time, that is the power. The power is being able to access this store of time and space that we can literally go, like, if we wanted to, we could go back and we could save Palpatine or whatever. We could go back and we could save Darth Vader from being killed, and we could truly build an unstoppable force, an unstoppable legion of the most powerful, dark side Force users in history, and rule the galaxy unopposed. I feel like that is a power that is beyond.
Yes, I agree.
Comprehension.
I agree.
Because, like, if it's Thrawn and he's like, "Oh, I came back and I can raise the dead," it's like, one, that doesn't make any lick of sense for Thrawn. Like, it makes sense for Morgan Elsbeth because she is a Night Sister and like that.
Yeah, I'm not saying Thrawn's going to have any of this power. Nick, again, he always says it more eloquently, but he's bringing the power with him. For sure. And I do think it is going to be a little bit of the arcane side of the Force.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they portray that, or like what the power actually is. Like, is the power just the ability to access the past or to access other times and bring people back?
You might like this one, Nick. This comes from Nova. Maybe they want Thrawn to find Ezra since he's the key to the world between worlds.
But he's not. Like, you can already see, like, I mean, like, we're looking at this screenshot here, and if this is accurate, like, they have at least
she's been able to activate
seal,
something. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, by herself, and like, so, I mean, I guess you could look at it that way. It's like, well, if you get Thrawn, you get Ezra, and if you get Ezra, then you get the key to the world between worlds. Right. But then, like, that's a whole other fucking bag of worms that you've just opened, because okay, now you bring back Ezra, but Ezra is a trained Force user who was on the Jedi path. So what, do you think he's just going to be like, okay, well, cool, I'll help you guys? Like, you have to, like, what are you going to do? Like, you have to subdue him at the very least, if not completely incapacitate him, and then what, you can use him to unlock it? Like, I just don't understand how that would work.
Is Bango's asking here, and I do know this. Bango's saying it'd be cool if they pair him with a Force user. That's what they did in Heir to the Empire. He is getting paired with someone named Enoch, who is played by homeboy with a beard from The Expanse. I forget his name.
West.
But he's being described as like Thrawn's unknown regions, unknown galaxy, bodyguard, assassin type of deal. So there's a good chance that this Enoch character may have a little arcane, arcane in him, or magic in him, if you will, Force magic. You never know.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's possible for sure, but the Ezra angle would be hard to imagine.
We'll be talking about because it seems like coming up. So as the trailer moves on, we get more of the New Republic stuff. We see what seems to be the New Republic leadership. Mon's there. Kaz's dad is there. But we get a new voiceover from Hera that we haven't heard before, and she says, I've spent most of my life fighting a war. That's why I'm trying to convince you to help me prevent another one. So clearly Hera's on board. It sounds like Ahsoka's going to be on board. But as we know, the New Republic tends to shoot themselves in the foot when it comes to the freedom fighters that help them win the galaxy, giving them warnings. It's sounding like Princess Leia was not the only one to try to shoot flares up in front of Mon Mothma's face saying, listen, we can't just sit around here singing Kumbaya when you got all these fucking psychos still out in the galaxy. So please give us a little now so we can prevent a big disaster in the future. And, you know, with hindsight, we know obviously these are Mon Mothma's worst decisions as a leader. But it's good to see Hera kind of coming in and having that fire we know her to have, that anti-establishment. Like, yes, she's a general. Yes, she's in the Navy. But clearly, whatever happens in the series, Nick, is going to kind of get her to kind of go back to her roots of freedom fighting on her own with friends.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, we know very well that fucking Mon Mothma hates military action, right, yeah. Like of any kind.
And you would think, like, we know she has the stomach for it. She sat there planning for decades with Luthen to do heinous shit. But now once she gets the power, it's like, no, everyone's going to be nice because we're the New Republic. And, you know, we have these programs where you can rejoin society even if you committed genocide throughout the galaxy as an Imperial. A bunch of happy horse shit. But so, you know, we see a new shot Hera meeting Ahsoka. We know Ahsoka goes to see the New Republic. So, and it does look to be the same type of hangar that we just saw Baylan and Shin in. Could all be coincidence.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I'm leaning more toward, it's just weird. Like, this is a chicken and egg thing. Is it the bad guys fucking with the New Republic that gets Ahsoka to go meet with them, or is it vice versa? I think it could work either way.
Yeah, I think that, like, if it really was the bad guys first, then there wouldn't even be a conversation with Mon. Like, it would be like, you literally just had people walk on your ship, or like walk into your flotilla and just murder everybody in it. So are you okay with that? Like, is that, so we're still in demilitarized time, right? Yeah, because you just had half of a ship killed by two people. Like, it has to be, after they're there.
You're right. Gonk droid. Yeah. And we get some new dialogue, and Nick kind of teased this earlier, and I like this, where you get Hera essentially saying, like, you and I both know who could help you with this. I'm not gonna lie, Nick, when I first heard that line, I was like, Luke Skywalker. And I was like, no, that's definitely not it. But that is a point that is not being made. I mean, you gotta remember, Luke's like, I guess we give him a pass. He was trying to rebuild the order, but once again, like Yoda and those before him, he allowed a massive force to kind of rise while he's chilling, hanging out. And then Ahsoka, you know,
the whole Luke Skywalker of it is just like, it's one of those things where it's like it's gonna constantly fuck up shit like this.
If you remember, man, you and I know me specifically, is like, we don't need legacy characters in these new shows. No, it's not going to be Luke in the finale. It can't be Luke. I'll take Cal Kestis, milquetoast. It can't be Luke. You don't need Luke. You don't need the big three. You don't need the Skywalkers. And they're like, well, fuck you. You don't know shit. You're in your basement talking about Star Wars. We're working at Lucasfilm. We're bringing back Luke. And look what that now does. We know Luke is active in the galaxy. We know Luke has a bond with Ahsoka, yet he's going to let her hang on this one because his robots are building the temple.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, like, you're screwed if you do and you're screwed if you don't, because it's like Luke's the ultimate trump card. So it's like, okay, well, you know,
the other thing,
at that case, it's like anything pops up, it's like, well, where's Luke? But in this particular instance, it's like Luke knows the threat that Thrawn poses. It's like, yeah, you know, if you're fucking around in the Mandoverse and stuff like that, you're talking about some regional warlord dickhead like fucking, what's his name, Moff Gideon. Like, Luke doesn't have to be involved. He's like, you know, this is small potatoes. Like, Thrawn coming back into the galaxy, accessing the world between worlds and all this shit. Like, this is some Luke level stuff that you could probably use as help.
Yeah, I would think so. And maybe he'll show up in Filoni's crossover, but it's just one of those weird things. I'm sure people will justify it. But they'll be the same people like, that's the wrong Luke in TLJ. He always goes and helps when called upon. Well, Hello? Hello? Where is he? Where is he? Luke, where are you? Thrawn's coming back.
At this time too, like at least in TLJ, there was like a reason for him to be in isolation. Like
he failed miserably and created Darth Vader too. Yeah, I mean now he's just hold on, I'm starting a fucking Jedi Academy with babies and baby Yodas that don't even want to stay with me. I can't help.
Yeah, so it's like there's always that. It's almost like you need to have like a reason for him to not be there. Like it needs to be. Well, like, why isn't he here? Yeah. It's like, well, he left the galaxy.
There you go. Okay,
like he's in a completely different
I'll take
galaxy.
That. Yeah, he's looking for the last book. That'd be fine. Just give me something like that. And I'm just playing with you guys. I know there's a lot of Luke bros out there. I've always loved Luke, but I've always seen him as the character that I've interpreted him as. He's heroic for sure, but he's a whiny motherfucker that doesn't really listen to anybody. And does kind of do his own thing. I mean, that's Luke Skywalker. All right? The people are like, look, Luke in the Empire, he went and saved his friend. No, he didn't. He went and fucked all that shit up by going to Bespin. That's what he did. All right? We love you, Luke. Don't worry. If you talk about Luke, some people, they'll light your house on fire. All right, so here's we get into the thing we started earlier with, they're clearly not talking about Luke. They're talking about Sabine. Which, okay. Ahsoka says she's still just as stubborn as ever. And that's when we first get our shots of Sabine, clearly living her best life on Lothal, chilling in Ezra's hovel, let her hair grow out. Looks like she's on that same highway that we saw Ezra race on multiple times. Who knows if she's fucking with something or just screwing around. It does look like she's fucking with something because she skids under a ship and I think there's some explosions. But clearly Sabine has kind of checked out of galactic politics. And it's now sounding, Nick, it wasn't for Mandalore. It wasn't to support Bo-Katan. It was because her and Ahsoka had some sort of a falling out. Not like I hate you and never want to see you again, but they had a split. Kind of like Anakin and Ahsoka had a split where Ahsoka says it. She walks away and that's it. Leaves her there. I mean, why was Sabine being stubborn? Why is Ahsoka called her master? Why does Sabine call her master? That's typically not something Mandalorians would do, especially to a non-Mandalorian. It is very Force user training like, right?
Yeah. I mean, and we also see later in the trailer, she whips out Ezra's lightsaber when she's fighting against Shin. So we know that one, she has the lightsaber, and two, more than likely she was being trained by Ahsoka at a certain point in time, which is why the master thing has been, I guess, thrown out there.
So you asked earlier, does Sabine have latent Force abilities, or is the master apprentice just a more traditional, hey, I'm going to teach you how to be a badass warrior woman, Force or not?
Yeah, it's tough because, I mean, I don't remember specifically during the arc in Rebels when she was training with the Darksaber with Kanan if there was a hint that she had Force sensitivity. I don't.
Never.
Yeah,
she had the ability to comfortably wield the Darksaber. Unlike Din, she could handle it. But that
unlike
that was it.
Yeah, like everybody else in the fucking galaxy. Except
they brought it up in the behind the scenes. We will talk about that, but they did bring it up. Look, the signs were there all along. Din was not meant to be the leader. The motherfucker couldn't even pick up the Darksaber.
I guess that Sabine was meant to be leader, and everybody else who touched the thing was, but not him.
He's an adventurer. He's a bounty hunter.
They made a real dumbass choice with that, and then they just have to back into why it happened. But anyway, so it has to be purely based off of I'm going to train you how to fight like a Jedi. Okay. Or something like that. I'm going to teach you the ways of lightsaber combat. You would think
Sabine's a pretty fucking competent fighter, considering she's a purebred Mandalorian with the full kit. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just it's weird that these two had a master and apprentice relationship when one, from what we know, has no Force abilities, and the other walked away from her proper Force training.
Yeah, it's an odd dynamic all around for sure. I mean, the only thing that I can think
Bat's saying she did call Kanan master too, so it could just be a sign of respect.
It could be for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like it's. I mean, here's probably what happened. I mean, these two, like both of these two, like dedicated themselves to like we're gonna find Ezra. That's gonna be our primary charge during the Rebels epilogue. Like, this is what we're gonna do. This is the only thing that we're gonna focus on. At a certain point, you can't focus on that anymore. Like there is life to live. Like this motherfucker.
It could have been, since
like,
Sabine's been called the stubborn one. It could have been Sabine like, no, I am not giving up my search. Where Ahsoka's like, listen, we got to move on.
There are other things.
Right.
Yeah, especially like when Ahsoka hears like, hey, there are other things like brewing in
Morgan
this galaxy
and Grogu
and
so forth, and all right. So this is where we get, Hera's like, I bet your master found you difficult at times, and Ahsoka, replies, Anakin never got to finish my training. I walked away from him just like I walked away from Sabine. So Nick, do you think at a moment like that, do we potentially get a flashback, or does a flashback lead into this? To me, it seems like a perfect opportunity. Like, hey, we're talking about your master and you walked away. Is that an opportunity either before or after this scene to give us Clone Wars Anakin and Ahsoka?
I would hope so. I mean, I will say that you would kind of be they haven't shied away from it, but like you would kind of be rehashing something that we saw happen in real time already. Like we already saw the moment that she literally walked away from him. Like, and we saw
more like a lesson or like a fun time where she's having like a fun memory of the master apprentice bond that she had with Anakin.
But I would want to see the moment that she walked away from Sabine more than the moment that she walked away from Anakin. Like we've seen fucking 7 seasons of that shit. So like, give us something that we haven't seen before.
All right.
Like,
all right.
I think that is the more like, that's the more pertinent aspect to it. It's like, yeah, it's like she mentioned Anakin. Like that's when I walked away from Anakin, and you could get a flashback of it for the people who never watched the cartoon series. Like it would be cool for them to see some sort of like interaction.
I think it's gonna happen. I really do. Like you don't start throwing around Anakin's name. I mean, they didn't even use Anakin's name with fucking Luke and Ahsoka. Like they didn't call him Anakin. They just kind of like, he's the white whale. You don't even mention the fact that you hear Anakin twice in this trailer. It's like, yeah, Hayden's got to be in it. And like Connor's saying here in the live stream chat, hopefully it's both in a flashback and Force Ghost form. I think you and I have been asking for that ever since Rosario potentially let loose that Hayden was going to be in this. That would be the best use. I would love to see those two. Not like Nick saying, we don't need to see the walk away moment, but a moment between Master and Apprentice where she's either looking up to him like, my God, this guy's fucking great. I learned so much from him. Look at him go. They're kicking ass on the battlefield. And then potentially towards the end, like we had in Kenobi, let's say Ahsoka potentially either wins or does something big, and Anakin kind of comes in and just says, hey, I'm still with you, Snips. Like I'm here, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird because it really depends on like, we know we're in Mando season 3 timeline. We don't have any sort of inclination to believe that she was contacted by Force Ghost Anakin when we last saw her on Corvus in season 2 of Mandalorian. So like, it probably would have had to happen between that time period where it's like between when she met up with Din and Grogu, and then from that point on, yeah, I mean, maybe they save it for that moment to happen in real time in the show. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, did you get the inclination when we had that interaction on Corvus that she had like somehow been contacted by Anakin's Force Ghost before then? Like, I just don't remember.
No, and I don't even think they would have had to have done that to set that up in Ahsoka if it happens. I mean, it's just like her and Luke seem like they've had a years-long relationship, and we don't know. Like, we don't know if they actually hung out before they were hanging out with Grogu or not. So they can keep that stuff kind of murky. I don't think it would break anything. What I'm saying, though, is like Ahsoka goes through all these trials and tribulations in her series, kind of comes out feeling better about herself and her own apprentice. that's when I could see Force Ghost Anakin kind of making his presence known, like, hey, I'm here. I'm watching this.
Yeah, I think that would be the better way to do it than have it be like something that like retroactively, like, oh yeah, this happened before and you just never saw it. I think that would be the better way to go about it for sure.
Either way, you're getting like Hayden will be flashback, and hopefully, I think flashback probably is more likely. But I would like the twofer, like Connor's saying. I definitely would not complain.
I do think like this is, I can't like. There's gonna be at least a few flashbacks in this series. Like this one is so ripe for flashbacks, it almost seems like they may stray away from it because it's so easy to
obvious.
Do them.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, you could definitely do flashbacks between her and her master, and then her and Sabine for sure. Like you said, like
yeah. I mean, at the very least, I do think that we should get like flashbacks to when Sabine and Ahsoka were like training, because that's something that we've never seen before. We never even knew was happening before. So like, I would like to see the moment where she walks away from Sabine, because I think that is going to be a telling moment to really understand like where these two characters sit in like terms of their relationship and like what caused the division.
Right.
Because if it's just left at like, well, I walked away and you never see why, like it almost feels a little bit empty, especially after like a big tease like this in the trailer.
Yeah,
like,
it's not like even in this trailer, they didn't. I mean, I didn't go over the scenes we already saw, but it's not like when Ahsoka shows up on Lothal, Sabine's like, "Hey, Ahsoka, you're here." It's more like, "Oh, fuck. Okay, well, I haven't seen you in a while. This is awkward. All right, what do you want to get into?" And it looks like that's kind of where these next scenes come in. It appears that maybe Ahsoka has her on her ship right now, and they're talking about life. And this is where Sabine essentially says, "You never made things easy for me." And then we start getting the Ezra voiceover, which is kick-ass. But before I get into that, I know everyone has figured this out by now, but I'm sure Nick didn't pay attention. But the little astromech, Nick, that's a clear nod to the Kenner R2-D2. If you go look at the Kenner R2-D2, it's got like these triangle beveled out sections and the big eye. So you got that. But anyways, we get some great dialogue from Ezra, which I believe is repurposed from Rebels finale when he says this. I don't think this is a new recording. I believe this is the same message he gives to Sabine before he goes and makes his sacrifice. But he says, "As a Jedi, sometimes you have to make the decision no one else can. But I'm counting on you to see this through." So, Nick, the way the trailer's kind of edited, we know it's not in order, obviously, but it does seem Ahsoka's going to come back and say, "Hey, Sabine, let's figure our shit out. We got something to do." Sabine's not like, "Yeah, let's go." She's going to have to think about it. She goes back to her room, throws on the Ezra thing. He delivers this message. And that seems Ezra's message, Ahsoka showing back up, that seems to be what motivates Sabine to kind of get back to business. Because we see her doing the Kanan long hair knife slash as she's donning her armor, looking at her helmet. It seems like Ahsoka showing up, getting Ezra's message again, that motivates her to join Ahsoka on this latest adventure.
Yeah, that's 100% the order of events there. So yeah, I mean, and then really it's just like, well, what's their first stop from here? Like how early does this happen in the show? I mean, like, is this an episode 1 thing? Is this like,
it's a good question. To me, Nick, I could see Sabine doing her like Rambo montage is like towards the end of episode 2. Like, it's going to take episode 1 and 2 to kind of, all right, here's where we are. Here's what's happening. Here's where we need to go. Let's get all the characters shuffled. And by the end of 2, Sabine's going to, have the short hair and they're going to be off to the races. So we get some other, after Ezra's, Ahsoka goes, "Sometime we have to do what's right, regardless of our personal feelings." And that was a great shot of Sabine kind of saying goodbye to her mural, specifically Ezra. So it does seem like they are playing into the fact that these two might have started developing feelings for each other towards the end of Rebels, which, I think it was starting to happen early on, Ezra definitely annoyed Sabine, but I think by the end of season 4, these two possibly could have been a thing if they wanted to. They head out in Ahsoka's ship. It looks like they're bringing Huyang with them and possibly Hera. Nick, there were some shots where Hera's in the cockpit with them and Huyang's in there. They're both in there. So I don't know. I mean, does Hera also go out on the main adventure, or is she just more of a liaison? Does she get mixed up in a mission here or there? But it does look like at least these 4 Rebels characters are together at some point in time. What else we get here?
Yeah.
Ahsoka, if we don't stop Thrawn, everything will be in vain, of course. She's fighting the Inquisitor again. And I'm telling you, people, and I am probably going out on too far of a limb here, but I would not be surprised if that Inquisitor is Ezra. Who's been, like, fucked up in his time. Yeah, maybe Thrawn got a hold of him and used that power source on him and did something.
Dude, like, that would just be straight up, we're making Ezra Revan. Like, that's essentially what it would be. Is like think of it, like, Ezra's fighting this force of evil. There's this war going on. He gets transported into the unknown regions, comes back as a Sith or as like a dark force user. Like, that's 100% Revan.
I hear you
right there.
But I guess who else would be impactful as the Inquisitor besides maybe Barriss Offee?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Barriss is, like, there's an opportunity for it to be Barriss. I'm not saying that it would be bad if it was Ezra. Obviously, it would be a really cool turn if it's like, oh shit, he's bad. Now you gotta,
little twist for sure.
Yeah, but it's just like, how just call, like, is he gonna have a new name now too? Are you just gonna call him Revan, or you just want to stick with Ezra?
Dark Ezra.
Because yeah, it's like how are we referring to him now? But yeah, I mean, like, that's a possibility. Barriss is a possibility too. I think that, like, the Barriss thread being open and, like, just kind of like sitting in the background, that a lot of like people have forgotten about, or a lot of people don't. I mean, like, a lot of people may have just, like, completely lost track of. Like, I think that that's an opportunity to still have that, and then you would get. I think it would be equally as satisfying if it was Ezra, because then you get the moment of, like, oh no, the guy, like the Inquisitor that I've been fighting is the person I'm looking for. But it's also impactful if it's like, oh, the person I'm fighting is this bitch that I've been waiting to get fucking revenge on for decades. Yes. Oh yes, like now it's to me
that those are the only two options. I know B Mad, he's not the only one. I saw other people throw out the. Could be Star Killer. That would just be way too random.
No, that's dumb as fuck.
Way too random. It's not. There's no narrative juice in the Mandoverse to support that.
I mean, the only thing that you could say is, like, cloning. Like, oh, they were, like, doing clone shit, and, like, in the second one he was a clone. But like, it just would make sense.
We can't trust that. A lot of people have watched Rebels before going to the show. We sure shit can't trust that they've played a game from 2008 about Galen Merrick, who was Star Killer, was a bad guy. But listen, those were the three. I mean, the big one out there really is Star Killer. Like, there's a lot of fans pushing for that one. I think that probably from Theory's channel. But to me, narratively, Barriss makes a ton of sense, would be a great payoff, like Nick said, and would close a decades-long thread in universe. Ezra would be the shocking twist, for sure. It'd be, oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, that one gives you similar storylines to what we've had.
Right? Can they save him? Does he die? Does he end up? Does he come back but dies in kind of like Vader, where he dies in Redemption? I mean, look, I would love good Ezra to come back and get more Ezra stories, but that would be a nice little exclamation point on that character's journey.
Yeah,
a sad one.
It's always so hard with these types of characters when you're playing in the middle chapter of a universe, because, like, if he comes back and he doesn't die, then it's like, okay, well, when are you going to kill him? Because he has to die. Like, he has to die just like every other Jedi has to die leading up to the sequel trilogy. They got to be gone unless you're going to put yourself in another situation where it's like, oh yeah, like Kylo Ren went and destroyed the only Jedi Academy that was out there. But don't worry, there's still a bunch of Jedi available.
Right. Like Jedi Knights, and not even Padawans, like full on Knights or Masters.
Yeah, it's like you have to, like, it's just something that you have to address in storytelling. Like, you can't, like, if you choose to leave him alive at the end of this series, then you're almost saying, like, we will incorporate him in future stories.
Or kill him in the movie if you have to. But I'm with you. Ezra can't make it.
Bring him back in a movie.
He can't make it much beyond the Mandoverse, or it gets into that same kind of circle of death we've had before. Like, well, why wouldn't they help? Why wouldn't they help? Why wouldn't they help? I mean, hey, you can argue some of them, they just wanted to hide. Ezra was front and center in the rebellion. Like, he was like, hey, I'm a Jedi, I'm a rebel, I'm both. I'm ready to fight the Empire. Like, he was in it to win it, even more than Cal Kestis.
Yeah, I mean, like, for Ahsoka, like, I feel like you don't have to kill her because she's just got a habit of being like, okay, well, I'm going to hang out for a while and then I'm going to disappear because I feel like it. And then
she says it here. I mean, it seems like Filoni is going to double down on her Ronin mantra where it's like, she'll just walk away. He's like, fuck it. If things get itchy, she's out. She's out.
Yeah, like she is a non-committal person when it comes to friendships and when it comes to causes.
Right.
Like, as soon as she feels like her time is up, she's like, all right, well, I'm out.
Definitely doesn't want to train Force users, doesn't want to be around them, hates them, thinks they're smelly, gives them to people in helmets named Din.
Like, I'm very interested because I mean, like, I trust Filoni to have, like, identified these things leading up to this kind of in-game style moment.
I'll ask Justin. He seems to know something here. We'll see. I don't know if I want to know if he knows, but I won't tell you if I don't
want to know either.
That's saying
if
Ahsoka
you do
dies.
Find it out, don't tell
I
me.
do think Ahsoka will die at some point. Probably not until the movie or off screen though. She's not dying in her series.
I mean, I gotta imagine that she'll make it to the movie. And the thing is like, you also have to be, you have to be acutely ready for the fact that, like, this series is not going to end Thrawn. Like, this is the beginning of Thrawn. Like, it's not like, okay, Thrawn comes back episode 1 and then by episode 10 he's gone already. Like, there is no other way for this to go other than, like, he's back.
Depending,
it's almost a Palpatine moment. He's back.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
No, you're not wrong. He's back. I mean, he is going to be, and that's why they had the circle wipe on Mando season 3. That chapter's over. The Gideon as the main remnant guy, that's done for now. But, you know, once Thrawn comes back, that's the new big bad they got to deal with. And, you know, ultimately, the good guys are going to take him out, but that's just going to give rise to the First Order. So,
yeah, you know, so it's like, you're going to, like, he's the big bad in the movie. You know, more than likely, if Ezra is alive and they save him, he's going to be in the movie. Ahsoka's going to be in the movie. Sabine's going to be in the movie. Hera might get killed. Like, I'm just going to put that out there, that Hera may be a sacrifice in this show. You can't, like, there's too many, like, knowing there's a movie takes the mystery out of who's going to make it through the series, because you're not going to kill all of your main players before you get to the big movie.
I mean, honestly, the bad team's probably going to take more hits in the series than the good team.
Oh, yeah. Like, Baylan and Shin are almost assuredly toast.
Well, we were talking about that earlier. You know, I mean, rest in peace, Rey, but we could be in a Carrie Fisher situation where this character may have had some legs, but because the actor's dead, they're going to kill all that. And who knows if they were going to do an Ahsoka season 2 or the movie. Was Baylan ever involved? Do they have to rewrite some of that shit now? So you just don't know.
It's hard to kind of figure out. Like, it's harder to figure out, like, the evil forces now than it is to figure out the good forces, because the evil forces, unless, like, you know, like, maybe Gideon comes back, like proper Gideon, and then it's revealed that, like, you know, the Gideon that got blasted on Mandalore was really a clone, like we've been saying since the finale, or like Matt's been saying since the finale primarily. Like, I'm kind of on the fence about that, but I mean, it's very possible that he comes back.
I mean, Giancarlo essentially spoils it in the BTS. Yeah. He's like, oh, you never know, Gideon may rise from the ashes. Hardy har har. Exactly. It's like, thanks Giancarlo. For keeping it ominous, like, pal, and you can rely.
It's like somebody needs to, like, to really have a conversation with him and be like, dude, don't fucking give away everything.
Disney,
so quickly.
Lucasfilm had complete control over that. They could have edited that. They put it right in. They just let him go. They're like, yeah, fuck it. That's Esposito. You know, some people, they don't know whether to take him seriously or not. We'll just let it go.
So like, it's, I mean, like bad forces are in this movie are essentially going to be like the newly coalesced like remnant empire is going to come back and form itself under Thrawn, have Thrawn as its leader. You have Morgan as his right hand. And then you have, I mean, at this point, it's like, who is that Force user? Is Wes Chatham's character of Enoch a Force user that he like found out in the unknown regions and like, you know, has been under his wing? Does Shin stay on even though Balin's gone?
I think this one here, in terms of death, be mad. Zeb will be sacrificed to save money on CGI. It's like, yeah, possibly. You never know. Yeah, he'll get blown up in a ship like Snap Wexley in The Rise of Skywalker. He's like, oh, snap.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw Greggy Boy showed up in Mission Impossible 3 last night. I'm like, how'd he get in here? I'm like, oh yeah, JJ directed this movie. That's why. We all needed a friend like JJ when we were little. If you think about it, Greg Grunwald has had a great life of acting in like geeky shows, not becoming too famous that you can't like go out and live a normal life. But he always knows like if his buddy gets a big project, he's probably going to get thrown a bone, make some residuals, and become a sci-fi character. It's fantastic.
Hey, yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I mean, haven't Greg and JJ been like buddies since they were little kids, like 4, 5, 6? I mean,
I think so. Damn. Like they were like lifelong.
Just goes
friends,
to show, man. Be nice to those creatives in your life. Just be nice to those artsy fartsy kids. You never know. All right, moving on here. We get into a dogfight. I like that. You know, Sabine's kind of in the cockpit pulling a Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, or a Finn. I believe, Nick, they're probably battling the Balin and Shin. They might be in like these snub fighters. Who knows? But they're fighting someone, and Sabine's working the cockpit. What do you think this big fucking monster thing was? Is that
that's a
Purrgil up close and personal? Okay,
I think so. Yeah, because I mean, like, obviously it's hard to tell, but it looks like a whale.
It sure does.
And that's
it sure does. And it looked like it was low in the atmosphere, but the Purrgils, we have seen them suck Thrawn's chimera out from the atmosphere. So
yeah, and we also have seen them in, I think it was an episode of Rebels,
Mandalorian,
where they were, or yeah, whatever it was. Like they were like, well, no, I think in this particular one it was an episode of Rebels because they were like. There was like some sort of like gaseous planet that they were like.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, that's where Ezra even learns of them from the get-go.
Exactly.
Right.
So like,
this is a big fucking one. If that's a Purrgil, like this is Daddy Purrgil here. So
yeah, maybe it's the grandfather of all Purrgils or something. But I think it is because I don't know what other creature it would be. Especially,
it seemed like they were fighting with that same ship around this thing. So maybe they're trying to use the Purrgil to jump because that's what they do. I mean, that's why these things exist, by the way, if you didn't know. I think back in, I don't know if Dave came up with this or George, but Purrgils are essentially what taught the galaxy hyperspace, how to use light speed. All right, this next shot, dude, what the fuck uniform is Ahsoka wearing here? So she's got like the New Republic blue and whites on, but I don't think that's a New Republic uni. Like it's a specific suit she's wearing, and I'm wondering why, because you very rarely see a lead character change their garb. If you think about it, like and
it's almost like, is it a disguise?
Yeah, because Sabine's kind of wearing just like a mechanic jumpsuit as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, though? Like, main characters never change. They never bathe. They never change. But now we're looking at both Sabine and Ahsoka, who clearly are going to have a costume change for a mission of some sort.
Yeah. And it's weird, too, because it's like, how many orange skin, white, blue Leku Togrutas are walking around out there? Like, how could...
I know.
Like, is it that easy to?
I'm trying to get the symbol.
Yourself as Ahsoka?
There's a symbol on her shoulder, and
on her shoulder, it's so hard to make out.
It's circular, but it doesn't look like the Imperial cog. It definitely doesn't look like New Republic anything.
It almost looks like, for lack of a better word, there's like a blade up through the middle with like things coming down like this, and then there's like little rays.
Maybe it is New Republic then, because doesn't the New Republic kind of co-opt the Jedi insignia a little bit?
Kind of, yeah. It's like a mix between the Jedi and the Rebellion.
Hey, she got a Jedi
logo.
spacesuit or a Purgil suit, something. But I just thought that was different.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It doesn't necessarily. It doesn't really look like the New Republic logo. Like it doesn't. It looks different.
I know.
It's hard. It's hard to
staring at this like, what the fuck is this? Hey, Yakub's World. We love Star Wars too, and we love when new fans find the channel. So welcome to the party.
Yeah, it's like to me, it has to be a disguise because, like you said too, the next shot is Sabine in some sort of like just very muted getup,
and she's wearing it in the same scene with Ahsoka's blue and white. So I mean, she was wearing it in the cockpit. So I don't know. I do think it's a disguise, but you're right. How do you disguise a fucking Togruta head? It's like she can't wear a helmet because of her Leku. Like it's just not possible unless they make helmets for like you would have to have a custom made helmet. So it's like it's super hard to figure out like why you would have a change like this if you're not trying to infiltrate something. It's a Purgil spacesuit specifically made to travel with space whales.
The only thing that I can think of is if they're literally trying to infiltrate the New Republic.
Yeah,
which they know is not gonna like they're not gonna be hostile towards them.
Be like,
that's just not the way.
It'd be like a slap fight. Like, no, you get out of here. No, you get out of here now. You get away. You don't take that blaster. You put that down.
Yeah, so like maybe that's what they're doing. Like maybe they're trying to actually infiltrate like
resources.
A New Republic base.
Yeah, they need a ship or something
like that. Because like almost assuredly, what's going to happen is they're going to have this meeting with Mon, and Mon's going to be like, "Get the fuck out of here! Like this is not of our concern."
General
like,
Syndulla.
You guys think that somebody's been gone for a decade is maybe coming back? Like that's what you're coming to me with? Like I got bigger shit to worry about. I have an actual remnant empire to worry about, and I'm trying to govern a fucking brand new galactic governing system, and I haven't even convinced all of the planets to join yet. So like she's gonna be like, yeah, sounds good, have fun. Like so they're probably gonna have to infiltrate a New Republic base for like you said, resources or something like that.
I can get behind that. All right, so we get the guy. You know, I know people that went to Celebration. Justin had a great shot of this, but we get Lars as Strawn. He looks great. I mean, come on, looks good. Definitely feels like the Admiral. And here's the line that Nick's talking about, and it's when Sabine is clearly on the ground getting beat down by Shin, and she does have her hand extended like she is a Force user and
trying to use.
It's no like stop or lift me up, Shin. That was a good play. She's trying to use the Force. So Nick, I do think. And I believe the maker himself said it. Everyone has the potential. It's just how you tap into it, and if you can. But it does seem that the whole master-apprentice bond between Ahsoka and Sabine was potentially to kind of coax out her inherent Force abilities, if possible.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't do that if you didn't think something would happen.
Yeah, and she's a skilled warrior. Like, you're not going to get a Mandalorian down on her ass and she's just going to stick her hand up like, please don't hit me. No way.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, so there had to be something. Like, there had to be a spark or some sort of like inkling during their training that like she was close to actually tapping into the Force, or she had to like a very minimal degree, but could never really, access that like full power of it or something like that. Because shit, that was such a cool moment in the thing is like she puts out her hand and Shin literally almost laughs at her. Like, you have no power. Yeah, like that moment was fantastic, and it has to be born out of whatever the training that Sabine and Ahsoka were doing. And did it get to a point where like, I mean, here's another option. Is like, did it get to a point where literally Ahsoka is like, can see it? Like Ahsoka can tell like, oh, she can actually touch it. Like she can get there, and Ahsoka gets freaked out and then leaves and is like, I can't I
Wait,
can't
hey,
have
that-
somebody that I care about.
That's a good.
access this.
That is and that's another weird thing. Is like, is this more the old Star Wars from a certain point of view shit? Because we had an Ahsoka in season 2 Mando, who was hardcore anti-training any type of Force user that was grown and had relationships. Now we're learning.
And did that?
Now we're learning. Yeah, is that because of what? Obviously, it's because of the trauma from Anakin. She says as much to Din. But is it also a little bit of this? Did she realize, like, uh-oh, I'm teaching Sabine how to potentially use the Force, and she loves Ezra, and she's got these feelings for Ezra. For me, potentially, for the other rebels, this is bad. I'm out. You know, maybe that's why she leaves.
There's definitely a lot of fear in Ahsoka associated with the Force. And with
training,
not only
training people in the Force, more particular. Like, she
Yes.
wants nothing to do with it, at least by the time she meets Din and Grogu.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, because she never finished her training. Like,
correct.
Like, she never got the full complement of training that she was supposed to get. She didn't have a good relationship with her master towards the end. And now, like, whenever she puts herself in a position to be like, there is good that I can do here and I can help this person, but like, is it worth the possibility of what happened to me? You know, like, there's just a lot of trauma that's associated with training for her, not just from Anakin. I mean, from the whole, she was literally ridiculed and excommunicated by the entire Jedi Council,
including the Grand Master himself. Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of negative emotion and trauma that is like instilled in her from her time as an apprentice and her time at like coming up in the Jedi Order. And she can probably see a lot of like what was in her and whoever she is training. And I mean, when it comes to Sabine, like with Grogu, it's a different thing. Like, she knew Grogu in passing. Were they good friends? Probably not. But like, her and Sabine were best friends, like very close at one point. And now when you start to, like, you've changed the dynamic of that relationship from like, we are close friends to I am your master and you have to listen to me. Right. And like, I am trying to teach you things. And I could see why that would put her in a weird position to where it's like, this girl who's never been able to access the Force before is now starting to do it. And I'm afraid of what could happen. So
it would line up.
I really want to dig into that.
Yeah, it lines up with the Ahsoka we meet in the Mandoverse for sure. I mean, she seems very anti-training anybody, anything that closely resembles using the Force. You know, these two are clearly fighting, Nick. It looks like this fight is taking place on the same planet that has the Force structure, as we're calling it, whatever you want to call it, similar to what we saw on Tython. Yes, she does have Ezra's blade. He gave it to her before his mission with Thrawn, so that's just call back to Rebels there. All right, then we start to wind things down, and we get more Baylan finally, and here he is uncloaked and looks even more badass. You know, he's got the shoulder armor on, the gauntlets, belt, all black, like matte black, and then, like I said, he's got like these armor plates going down his vertebrae. He's just fucking rad looking. But he says to Ahsoka, Anakin spoke highly of you. And she responds, I'm not here to discuss my past. Obviously that's not the full conversation. I have a feeling they're going to have a little more dueling of words there before it goes to blows, but I'm very eager to see this happen. And know what we know about Star Wars trailers, this is probably taking place earlier on in the season, or at least probably not much past the halfway point. So I wonder if this happens, episode 2 or 3 potentially? They all make it to this world between, I can't say world, and then between, and then world at once. I'll try. WBW engine. How's that?
Yeah.
Now, there's clearly a fight going on here between the good guys and the bad guys. The good guys are trying to stop them. So do you think, Nick, if this is early on in the season, that this is like typically, you know, bad guys usually get a few early victories?
Yeah, it could be. It could. I mean, like, it also looks like, you know, it's Shin and Baylan versus
Ahsoka
and Sabine.
Master on
we
master,
can see
apprentice
that
on
Sabine
apprentice.
like Sabine's getting her ass kicked, and it's probably not even close. The real interesting one is going to be the Baylan versus Ahsoka, because what could end up happening here is like one of them is put in a position to where they have to use it because of what just happened to their friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like I doubt that'll happen.
I want to reiterate that for people that may have missed it. I think Nick is saying that if this is, and SW Props is telling me I'm close, so I guess it is earlier season, half season, maybe bad guys do win. But I think what Nick just said is, what if Shin or Sabine kind of bites the bullet and their master then has to use it to return them? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like think about that in terms of like we always talk about like time travel, especially in the instance of World Between Worlds. What happened with Ahsoka is like, what's the reverberation from it? Like, Ahsoka could have been dead. Like literally, that would have changed the tide of a lot of things if Ahsoka was dead. But she wasn't. She was saved. In this instance, and Ahsoka would know that too. Ahsoka would be like, you really shouldn't fuck around with this, because if you go back and you change something, it's gonna change. It doesn't just change that thing; it changes everything. But in this instance, if Sabine gets fucking stabbed or Sabine gets killed, if you go back in time 5 minutes and you save her, like not a lot is going to change in the timeline. And that puts an interesting perspective on like, you have this tool that has been built by Morgan Elsbeth and Thrawn followers with the express goal of getting Thrawn back. But now you're in a position to where, like, if you destroy this thing, Sabine is dead, and there's no way for you to get her back. But if you choose to use it, you can save her, but you also leave open the possibility that the bad guys can use it again.
That's
like,
deep. I don't know if Star Wars gets that creative and nuanced.
Yeah, that's
though.
what
You know what
say.
I mean? Like, you may be writing a little too deep for Star Wars.
Yeah. Like they won't
save that
do it
for a Scoundrels of the New Republic episode.
Yeah. Maybe I'll weave that into a storyline. But like I think that would be super interesting, because it's easier to believe something like that would happen because they're separated. Like if they're fighting, if they're all four of them are fighting in this dome, then like, okay, cool, no problem. Like you can see what's happening to the other one in real time. You can intervene if you need to. Sabine's out in the fucking woods, like nowhere near where Ahsoka is right now. At least we assume, because we've seen the landing platform where these ships are, and it's a big ass fucking cement block until the woods way behind it. So like she's really not close, and we see that Sabine is in dire straits at this moment. So unless somebody comes to her rescue like unexpectedly, then Sabine's in fucking trouble. And like that could put her in a situation where it's like, I actually need to use this to save you. Like I need to use the World Between Worlds not to save you from the fight, but to save you from death. Like, and I think that could be a very interesting like character dilemma for Ahsoka. Is like, she knows the power. She knows what can happen. It saved her life. Does she use that power to save Sabine's life and potentially allow the bad guys to still have their end goal? Or do you just say like, oh fuck, like she's dead and that's just how it is? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of interesting things that could happen in that moment, but I don't think any of those interesting things will happen.
If things are starting to sound weird coming out of my feed, bear with me. My Bluetooth just completely dropped out, so Nick is coming out of my speakers, and I no longer have any peripherals that work because they're all Bluetooth. So, yet again, my 6.5-year-old iMac is pleading for its life and to be put out to pasture, but ain't happening, pal. I need you to get me through the summer at this point, because I've got too many other projects to get done. Yeah, I know there's an echo. I'm trying to figure out how to kind of back this out. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I might have to go grab a pair of wired headphones right quick. Yeah, neat.
But yeah, I mean, in this instance, with this setting and
keep
the way
vamping
that this
real quick.
I'm
going to grab a headset.
with the way that this battle is going, I really do think that there could be a situation like that arises. And it would be such an interesting character development, character building moment or character revealing moment for Ahsoka that it would be hard to stray away from, but it also puts you in a position to where like, that is some like very deep storytelling and like character persona building and writing that they would have to do. So I'm not 100% sure if that is the direction that they'll go. But there's a lot of cool shit that could happen from there, and I'm really excited to see like in this particular moment how it's going to play out.
I'm still working on the tech here. You're doing good.
Matt's still working.
Doing good.
But yeah, I mean, after this scene here, we see it looks like the Gauntlet fighter is getting taken from them somehow. Because you see the fighter taking off, and you also see Ahsoka essentially running after.
I think that should help until I can restart this piece of shit.
So,
all right, thank you, Nick.
So, no problem.
So I'm with you. I think your idea on them having to save their apprentices would be fantastic. I don't think it happens. Like snowball's chance in hell type of shit. I am thinking though, just based on some of these cryptid shits that Props is putting in here, that I might have been right that this could be where the bad guys kind of get their one up and potentially foil the good guys, and their plan gets executed. All right. So moving on from that, we the trailer starts to end with really the beginning of the first teaser where we see Ahsoka at this relic type of site. Some shit goes down. It's getting blowed up to the point where she's running after her ship, which is already in flight, to catch it. So I don't know if it's getting like orbital bombarded, Nick, or if like explosives were planted. But I mean, that shit was blowing the fuck up, and it did look like it was getting rained on from above.
Yeah. Do you think that like she just set the ship on autopilot and is like, I'll just force jump onto it? Or do you think that there is like somebody on there who's like, do you think that like Sabine's on there?
Honestly,
and then,
dude,
like she's just taking off?
I think this is early on and could be the opening scene. I think it's Hoyang, the robot.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
he's like, all right, well, I got to get the ship out of here, and you're not here, so you better catch the fuck up.
Yeah, kind of like, autopiloting it up, and we got a few more quotes here. We had, Hoyang, and this is where I said, like, at one point, it's Sabine, Ahsoka, Hoyang, and Hera are all in the same cockpit, and we get the old, Hoyang says, we have a lot of work to do, and Hera drops the once a rebel, always a rebel. Clearly not consecutive dialogue, but it does seem like it might be in the same scene. And the trailer starts to wind down with more action. We get to see Sabine on the planet with the WBW engine. She's in her full Mando gear. She's using her Mando toys and tricks, as Gideon likes to call them. What I would like to hear your opinion on, Nick, the scene where she actually has a bad guy lassoed. That's not one of those robots, but its helmet is styled in a very similar fashion. So is that just, does Morgan make those robots to look like other mercenary people, or are these people, they just like wearing that style of helmet that looks like a robot?
Yeah, I don't know. Because
look, if you look at the shot underneath where she's stabbing a robot, I'm telling you, they wear like very similar.
Yeah, it is like the helmet or like the head of the robot has that like red kind of.
Followers of Morgan, you think, or just more mercs she's hired, or do they follow Balin and Shin?
I think that like these are probably like Elsbeth's
right,
people,
she had the droids before, so yeah.
Yeah, so like for sure, it's also like she for sure has some sort of like following behind her, like of, either, I don't know, it's clearly not like a religious following, but it's like a following of people who are like very invested in having Thrawn re-enter this galaxy, fight
acolytes,
for
but not Sith users. Like all those weirdos on Exegol are like, Palpatine. Blah, 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 blah. We're just gonna sit here in a fucking cave our whole lives until you return, zombie pal.
So it's probably something like that. It's probably just like a follower of Elsbeth, one of her acolytes, and then she's like, okay, we have a uniform aesthetic for droids and for people. Everybody has red helmets, and that's just how we
gray,
look.
Gray, everything else. That's it.
Yeah, red and gray,
you
dark
two
gray
droids.
assessments.
All right, and then really the trailer just ends with more action. I want to get to it. Returned to that. It seems, Nick, there's a fight. We've called it like a hangar, a dock of some sort, a shipyard, right? You know, we saw it in the teaser trailer. She's fighting the Inquisitor there. It now looks like Hera is also there. There's a shot of Hera in a building that Ahsoka jumps through the window to continue the fight. And then we also got this follow-up where it's clearly Baylan and Shin's shuttle also involved now in this fight. And again, it looks very industrial. So why are they all here? Why are the good guys and bad guys here? Clearly there must be something that they all need, or the good guys are trying to prevent the bad guys from getting.
I mean, we know that Elsbeth was like essentially like trying to put together, like she was
calling resources,
gathering resources to build ships. Like, so this could be the shipyard. Okay. Like this could be like the shipyard where Elsbeth's ships are being built, and she's just like out there, like, you know, Ahsoka's found out about it and she's out there just trying to like shut down the operation like early on, knowing that this is like a big part of their goal is to like have a fleet ready for when Thrawn re-enters the galaxy. So maybe she's just treating it as like, okay, this is, you know, like this is target one, is like make sure that he doesn't have, like if he does make it back, that he doesn't have all of the resources that he could have. So like, let's hit this place first, make sure that this operation is shut down, and then like move on from there to the next objective.
I just like how Ahsoka is running towards a shuttle that is unleashing hell in her direction. That's pretty fucking badass. Like she's running right towards it as it's like just lighting up the ground. So she's definitely not walking away from this challenge in her life. I think we can say that with 100% fact.
Yeah, she's taking this one head on.
And there is the mysterious Inquisitor. We do know it's being played by a female. It's being played by the stunt coordinator for the Ahsoka series, our boy Prop's client. I think her name's like Sun Moon. She was the Jedi in the flashbacks of the Kenobi series. She was training little Reva. But it does look like this Inquisitor is going to make it to the WBW engine planet, right? I mean, it's got that visual aesthetic that we've identified as that planet. And they're going to have a little bit of a duel. And you just like, who is it? We don't need to go rehash, rewind it. We talked about who we think this could be, who we want it to be, who it should be. To us, the best choices would be Barriss in terms of payoff and direct ties to the character Ahsoka all the way back to the Clone Wars, or Ezra as a shocking twist, a la Darth Revan style brainwashing conversion by being in unknown regions with nefarious actors. Yeah.
I mean, it's what's interesting to me about this, and what's always kind of been interesting to me about the inclusion of an Inquisitor, like an Inquisitor-like character, is like
they're gone.
Inquisitors existed at a very specific point in time. Like they were there post, ROTJ. They were there post ROTS. They were essentially Vader's Jedi hit squad. Like, hey, go out there, go hunt down the Jedi, kill the ones that I missed or that we missed.
Yeah.
In Order 66.
I mean, for the most part, would you say they're mostly dead by A New Hope?
By A New Hope, they're either like out of commission, or they've just like, or Palpatine was like, we're doing away with the Inquisitor program. Like they're not as effective as we thought that they were going to be, and all that's going to happen is that like you're going to have more greedy Sith Dark Force users to like try to cut me down. So he like puts a kibosh on it. So what's interesting is this show is confirmed Mando S3 timeline. Yes. Why is there an Inquisitor there? Like, what is this character's purpose? Did this character like when they open the portal to the world between worlds, does this character come out into the timeline?
Look at this guy. I like that. I could dig that for sure. That would eliminate the Ezra stuff, but I'd be okay with that. We don't need that shocking twist. I do dig
because I mean, like, almost assuredly, Barriss became an Inquisitor. Like, we, like, obviously we don't have that, assurance, or we don't have that, like, confirmed in canon yet, but, like, she is clearly a dark side Force user who helped the people who instituted the Empire, to frame Ahsoka and to essentially try to overthrow, the government at that point. So, like, she has to become an Inquisitor, right? Like, there's no way she doesn't. Like,
she wouldn't go back to being a Jedi. I mean, she, like you said, she was trying to get the Jedi in trouble. I mean, she was the one trying to make them look like shitheads on Coruscant. She was bombing stuff. I mean, she's no good. I do like, I didn't even think about that. They could have crossed with the WBW. Because that's the other thing I was going to say. All right, this entity, this person clearly isn't in leagues with Baylan and Shin, right? Like, this person's doing their own thing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
But they end up in the same location. So is the Inquisitor specifically going after Ahsoka? And
that's what I think.
And that's where Barriss would make a ton of fucking sense.
Yeah, and it's like, it's almost just like throwing a wrench in the works, because it's like, the Inquisitor themselves doesn't even have to be on the side of, like, I want to get Thrawn back. All that they need to be focused on is, like, I see a Jedi, in my duty as an Inquisitor of the, the post-Republic time period is to kill Jedi that I find. So, like, if if they open the portal to the world between worlds, because, like, as all portals work in every fucking sci-fi property you've ever seen, it's a two-way door. It's not like you can just,
if you don't close it, something's walking through.
Yeah, so, like, and this person would have no fucking idea. They just see this weird ass portal and they walk through it. They don't know that they've jumped decades in time. Like, and
that's
then
deep. Again, Nick, I think you're getting too deep. Like, I don't think Filoni thinks that way. I mean, God bless him, but I never even thought about that. But you've definitely hit on something that, with WBW and what we know about it, it could definitely be a reality, and it would explain better why we have a rando Inquisitor seemingly with a hard-on for Ahsoka Tano in the Mandoverse timeline. I like it. I like it. Take another one to the bank for the young Nick. Cha-ching. That's what I need to just, that's the only noise button I need.
It's too cool of an idea for them to actually do that. But, like, it would be really cool if it's just like, because it's okay to have rogue entities, which I think is like,
in the end, knowing Star Wars, this will be like a fucking Palpatine clone, and they're testing it out, like they're test driving it. Yeah. He'll take the mask off, and he'll be like, hey, 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 unlimited power, and then she'll just cut its head off.
Yeah.
And be like,
I mean, could you imagine this? Like, if it is Barriss, and, like, props will tell you who it is later, but, like, if it is Barriss, but then, like, she takes off her helmet and it's the Barriss from that time period. And you're like, holy shit. Not only is it the character that we thought it was, but it's the character from the time period where she was the last time we saw her.
In her youth.
Like, yeah, like, that would be a real mindfuck. Like, and I think that would be a really cool moment. And it would also show, like, the dangers of the world between world in its entirety. It's like, yeah, like, you can open these portals, but, like, you're not the only one who can access them. Like, the people who are on the other side of the portal that you open can also access them. And that just goes even further to show, like, this is something that we should
and
not
you're right.
And
It jives with portal science, at least what was established, because in Rebels, Palpatine knows about the WBW. Okay? And he knows Ezra is a key, almost like a gatekeeper. And that's why he shows up in Rebels. And as Nick's saying, as Ezra is in the back end of the WBW, where it's all black with the white tracks, Palpatine is literally shooting, like, Sith fire through the portal at them. So you are correct. Portal science, if a portal has been opened by someone who can do it, others can at least interact with the portals. I don't know if they could fully go through into the back end and work the back end of the WBW, because for some reason Palpatine never did. He just kind of sat there staring at the, mirror on the wall, and he would throw shit at Ezra, but he never crossed to the back end. Now, that's not to say that if Ezra reached in and pulled him right into another timeline, who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of open questions about this character.
I did not see the Empire logo, but also have not had any shots where you could really drill in on the Pauldrons. All we know is they're dressed like an Inquisitor, equipped like an Inquisitor, fight like one, but they're in the wrong era to still be one, unless they went rogue from the Order themselves, like Ahsoka, and now they're just deciding to come back and fuck around. So, all right, well, there you go. 2-episode premiere now, which, yay, I guess. I always wonder why they decide to do that so close to release. Is it something they know? Do they not feel the pilot is strong enough? Because
I don't know, because they didn't do it with Andor, right?
No, Andor got a double or triple release, I think.
Which was the one that just had the single?
Mando was only a 1-episode premiere.
Oh yeah, Mando S3 was only 1 episode.
Yeah, so good stuff, man. All right, well, there you go. There's your Ahsoka trailer. We spelled it all out for you. Everything we said is going to happen. Take it all to the bank, cash it in, and become rich in your Star Wars speculation know-how quest.
So, Matt, if you want to hit this quick ditty on Jacen Syndulla, I'm going to go to the bathroom quick, because now
we're moving through the rest of these quick, because you and I definitely went a long time on that one. So, all right, while Nick's taking a dump, let's shift on over to this one, which I thought was going to be our only Ahsoka story of the day, but it turned out we got a full trailer, so that was pretty fun. But what we're talking about now is last week a Lego set leaked for the Ahsoka series, and it is the Ghost. I will tell you the set looks fantastic. If you love Legos, has some great minifigs. But it is those minifigs that kind of got the Star Wars internet, not in a tizzy, but kind of asking questions. So if you're on the live stream, you can pull it up here. If not, just go to StarWarsTime.net, check out the post. But you'll see within this Lego set for the Ghost being released for the Ahsoka series that Jacen Syndulla has had a bit of a character redesign. Okay, so just to show you what Jacen looked like in Rebels, he's right there. He kind of had like some elf-like features in the face, green hair, green eyebrows, right? This is the son of Hera and Kanan Jarrus. If you look now at the Lego set, young Jacen now no longer sports such a colorful hairdo. If I can get this to load up here. What the hell is taking so long today? Come on! I don't want to yell. You can do it. You can do it. Look at this. If you're on the live stream, look at this shit. Can you imagine someone like me puts up with this? This is pure laziness at this point in time. Oh, don't worry. I had the image up. Now it's going back down. Let's play the clicking and wait game. Click and wait. Shitty computers. I want to fucking light you on fire and smash you with a sledgehammer after the show. Okay, Nick's back. All right. It was a good time. You didn't miss much. You just missed my computer trying to load a simple Twitter tab. Clearly, that's a big ass these days. But we're looking at these minifigs here, all right? Here's Jacen down here in the bottom left. He's got a new look. Green hair is gone.
Yep.
He's like full on like his dad now. He gets 0 elements from his mother. Does this mean we're going to get a live action Jacen in the series? Jacen? Possibly. Just be prepared to not see the green hair, which is probably okay. You know, it's like... I mean, why not go with like dark green hair? Like, if you didn't want to go with the bright shit for live action, why not at least hint that, like, hey, yeah, you did have this type of hair at one point in your life?
Yeah, it's an odd. I don't know. I mean, like, it's an odd change, but also like Jacen played so.
He's like, in it like for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's in it for like like the flash of it.
It's true
like
epilogue. Like he's
light.
Nick, I think it's a part of the epilogue where Ahsoka goes to get Sabine. You see Hera and her son kind of flitting around.
Yeah, so like I really do think that like Filoni may have looked at it and been like, man, that was a bad choice. Like let's redo that. I mean the ears, I don't know what the fuck's going on with those ears, man.
That's what I mean. Like his initial look, they made him. He was like cherub-like. He's like an elf or something, like a Keebler elf.
It's like such a weird aesthetic that they chose, and like I guess they gave him green hair because they were like, well, Hera's skin is green, but we can't.
You know that's why they did it, but it really makes no sense because we've actually, I can't remember. Did the clone? There's an episode arc in the Clone Wars where Rex ends up with a clone that went AWOL that then kind of fell in with this Twi'lek family. And I can't remember if he was just a stepdad to their children or if he had children with the Twi'lek. If it's the latter, the Twi'lek kids 100% got the head tails. Like that was guaranteed those genes were passing. I think he was just an adoptive dad, so I'm probably talking out of my ass. But it is funny. It's like, yeah, hey, we got a Twi'lek that's green, that's fucking a traditional looking male humanoid Jedi. So yeah, it's going to look completely like the human, except it's going to have green hair. That makes sense. It's going to get green hair from its mom that doesn't have hair. Like Twi'leks don't have hair.
It's just so like I don't hope this is going to become a point of outrage for
it hasn't so far. So far, it seems like they can accept the Jacen change.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a fan because if this kid would look weird as fuck grown up. I'm just gonna say, like this kid would look so weird.
Yeah, no, it is the right move. So you're right. It's probably like Dave. Maybe he let an intern do the epilogue for the finale, and that. Yeah,
he was like, whatever. We'll never see this kid
fuck
again.
Jacen,
and he's
cares?
like, oh.
It's like, damn it, they put Hera in Rogue One, so yeah, now she's live action.
Like, we gotta revisit the kid now.
But anyways,
maybe they'll just be like, yeah, I had green hair, but then I grew out of it.
Yeah, there you go. It's like going through puberty. Their hair changes to normal color, and their ears don't look fucked up anymore.
Yeah,
Mom,
exactly.
I can't wait to go through puberty so my ears don't look stupid. Oh, you'll get there, Jacen. We all go through it. You'll make it in the end, pal. You gotta love yourself for who you are. We also got a few other character, at least names, that have been in the trailer. Why did I click off of that knowing how slow this shit is? Let me go over here. So the Mon Cal is Lieutenant Breda. You can see them. They're in a few of the trailer scenes, and I'm not sure if that's the Mon Cal that Shin chops in half. But anyways, that's Breda, and then the black minifig, that is First Officer Hawkins. Now, you kind of have to go with the fact that whenever a Lego set is made for a show, it does typically mean that these characters are going to be within the set. Within the set and in the show. So there could be a chance where we catch the general maybe running ops right from the Ghost, and she has some of these New Republic officers on the bridge or whatnot. Because I mean, you can think back to the most recent one, Kenobi last year. They showed the play set where he burns Kenobi, and you got Ned and what's her name, and Vader and Obi. So you get all those characters involved in a scene. So more than likely, these two New Republic officers are hanging with Hera and fam on the Ghost. And like I said, this Ghost Lego looks fucking choice. I'll probably be picking that up.
It does.
Okay.
Very cool.
The Disney Gallery thing, man, like real quick, we're not going to go deep into it. I honestly thought it was pretty bad.
It wasn't great.
It was, and really, we've only gotten one good one. The first one where they had the director's round table and you really got into like the lore of Star Wars and some of the choices and who knows what and who's doing what. This one to me just seemed like an hour-long kind of promo vid for volume and this and that. It just there was no real good revelations. Pedro Pascal wasn't involved at all. They barely even talked to Latif or Brendan. I don't even think Latif got to talk on camera. Brendan got a few.
I think Latif had like one line or something like that. He got very little time.
I think the biggest reveal was that all season long, apparently they made new blasters for Din. Yay! Did anyone pick up on that? No, but apparently it was a big deal to Favreau.
When they were talking about it, I was like, holy shit, did I miss something? I was like, I guess I just didn't see that.
And why did he need new pistols? I don't even remember, but okay. We talked about earlier, Giancarlo literally says, hey, he may rise from the ashes, wink, wink. And
so he's not
I think
dead.
the only other thing that kind of stood out, I was like, that's interesting, is Filoni thought Baby Yoda was dumb as fuck. And thought it was a stupid idea and didn't really think it was going to work, and here we are. But they just, you know what I mean? Like these don't feel like behind the scenes anymore. It's like they focused all on, there's a lot on Jack Black and Lizzo, God bless them, but who cares? I want to go into some of the choices were made, or I want to hear about the actual main cast. And it didn't scratch that itch for me. In fact, it made me kind of hate some of the people that work on the show, because I don't work on the show. I was like, you're just rubbing it in my face that you get to work on Star Wars and I don't. So this episode of Disney Gallery kind of sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest, but if you just like to see, like, literally have like a peek behind the scenes, then take an hour out and watch it. But yeah, you're not missing anything if you don't see it.
And a lot of stuff you knew about. You knew that they were supposed to kill Axe Woves in season 2, but they liked Simon enough that they brought him back. I mean, these are all anecdotes that have come out months before this fucking gallery. So either release it quicker or make it more engaging. Just bring back the fucking table and let Dave talk about his time with George and some of his philosophies again, because that's really the bread and butter. All right. It's time to get into the fan segment for E269. That's right, I said it, 69. We do it every week. We do a question of the week, which we post on Instagram at Star Wars Time Show, and I guess these days Threads, until I'm already bored with Threads like most of you. It was fun last week. Everyone gets excited about new social media. Everyone lemmings themselves over there just like we did. And then you're sitting there going, what the fuck are we doing here again? And it's pretty much just the same shit I'm seeing on Instagram. And yeah, so there's that. But don't forget, question of the week at Star Wars Time Show on Meta's platforms. And then we'll do the top 5 next. So let's go ahead and get some screens switched up. Question of the week. I kind of took some advice from our boy Scion, Nick. He's like, you know what? That question you posed to Nick last week would be good for the fans. When I kind of asked Nick and myself, if we had force powers, what type of force user would we be? Would we be Yoda, or would we be a Sheev? Or would we be a little in between? I think I kind of settled on, and Nick too, I believe, we would probably go Robin Hood style and fuck with the shitheads of the galaxy to make the less thans or the have-nots of the galaxy feel better about themselves. So we're like, you know what? Let's ask the fans.
I think we both agreed that, like, being just a straight up Jedi would probably suck. Like that would not be that fun.
All right, so let's go ahead and get the question popped up. Maybe. Come on, tech. We only have a few more minutes, so let's get through the show. Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Well, if it doesn't pop up, we can just read them.
It's fine. It's probably not going to, so... hold on. Here we go. We got it. Technical difficulty corrected. Okay, question of the week time. If you had the Force, would you be a hero or villain, and why? So I think we got one story response, which is my charge, and then Nick will take the rest. This comes from Ripiktan, the lone story responder, but he's always there, always can be counted on. I'd probably have a familiar arc to Bruce Almighty, or I'd pull a Qui-Gon chance cube move at some casinos, then disappear with the Barash vow, okay, and live financially comfortable till the end of my days.
Well, there you go.
We're kind of in the same boat. Like I there's no way I could just, be like a Pope Jedi like those assholes were. No. I'd have to have some fun, and I was telling my kid yesterday, life lessons. Like, listen, money isn't going to make you happy. Probably won't make you happy. It might for a little bit. But if you ever have someone tell you that money isn't everything, they're full of shit. Because it is. If you have money in life, life is a lot more simple. It's easier. You can do more. You have more influence. It's the truth. All right? So, if I had force powers, I'd definitely make sure that I had a nice stable of cash flow. Because I'm not trying to go to work or do the Star Wars time show if I've got midichlorians coming out my asshole. You know what I mean? Like, we got to have some fun. Okay, Nick, take it away.
Yeah. All right. Mythos Boba says, I'd like to say good, but I'd no doubt go bad. Just imagine a guy tailing you up your ass in your car, a quick whoosh with the Force, and turn his steering wheel for him.
I like it. A little road rage.
No,
death.
I mean, you could definitely take care of some of those inconsiderate drivers. Next up, we have Sir Dork. Sir Dork says, having the Force sounds like a massive responsibility. Honestly, I never thought being a gray Force user sounded realistic. If you tap into the dark side even a little, it'd be way too easy to continuously fall into darkness, and staying in the light sounds like it requires way more willpower and selflessness than I have in me. I'd like to stay non-Forcey if possible. Funny enough, in our Star Wars D&D, you can pick any type of character you want.
He just described Cert Dorkith right here.
Yeah, Cert Dorkoth is a straight up, scout, non-Force user type of character. Did not want to mess around.
Jared's like, fuck it. It's too hard to think about on any side of the coin, so I just don't want any power. Fuck it.
Consistent.
Give me my give me my camera, some gasoline, a lighter, and some toy figures. That's my power.
That's right. So good stuff there from Jared at Sir Dork. Make sure to follow. Next up is at Chismail. He says Sith.
Just like a Sith would answer. No bullshit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Oh, man. Next up, Plastic Blurred says Villain. They always have the dopest gear and costumes. I mean, we've been saying that since day one. They always look the coolest for sure. Close. And then TG Van says, I would try to be a hero, but end up in the gray area. I think just a natural gravitation towards wanting to do good, but also, but having to do what is needed to achieve it.
Yeah, dude.
So he's kind of on our side.
I know for a fact, like if I was this Matt with powers, I would probably take out a human, at least a few a week. Even wanting to be good, I just wouldn't be able to. It's just like Mythos said. It'd be, you're out and about, someone's fucking with you in public. There goes your neck, or there goes your leg, there goes your arm. Maybe not kill them, but maim them and make them feel bad for being a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like this. You're a piece of shit, and now you should feel bad about it. But hey, I think Star Crazy here is also on the same page as you and Mythos Boba. Right. They say, I'll use it for good. Like if people are being asshole drivers, I'm definitely force slapping the back of their head to correct their shitty driving. So it seems like if people had the force, they would focus on all the bad drivers.
Road warrior. I like that. You had a whole unit of force users to make people drive the right way on the highway. I dig it. I definitely could get behind that.
So yeah, good stuff there from at star_crazy, Krazy. That closes out our fan questions for this week. Thank you all for responding. We're going to move into our top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. To get involved in this segment, whenever you post Star Wars artwork on Instagram, make sure to tag at Star Wars Time Show. That is our Instagram account. That will put you on Matt's radar. And as Matt is going through and choosing his features for the week, you'll see you and decide whether or not you make the feed. Then after Matt does that, on Mondays, I go through and I pick my top 5 for that week. And that is how it goes. So to kick off the top 5 for this week, we have at Kill Cutter Photo with just a fantastic crossover between Jurassic Park and... I'm calling it a crossover between Jurassic Park. There's just a giant T-Rex there roaring furiously at little tiny Grogu as he holds up a small flower to the big old T-Rex. I mean, this is just fantastic toy photography. Kill Cutter's gone in and done a lot in the post-processing, adding saliva into the mouth of the T-Rex. I mean, this is just one of the coolest shots.
You know what it is, Nick? It's the sense of scale that Kill Cutter achieves here. Because I don't think that T-Rex is really even that much bigger than I mean, that little Baby Yoda figure is tiny. Don't get me wrong. But I don't, and this is just me pulling shit out of my ass, I don't think it's that different in size, though. So that's part of the magic, is the way it's framed, the scale achieved. And yeah, the little guy, like, hey, peace be with you. You know, exactly. Kind of like how it's an homage to what he did with the Rancor. Kind of the same thing. You got this little thing, unafraid of this big, gnarly monster, and it's just like, you know, peace be with you. May the Force be with you. Yeah,
no, it was definitely harkens back to that moment in Book of Boba Fett where he tames the wild Rancor. So good stuff here from @KillCutterPhoto. Make sure to give him a follow. Next up, this was a super fun shot here from Paul 6, where it's like a recreation of an old Rolling Stones cover. And what we see is Gamorrean guard holding a beach ball. You got Vader in the background holding the boombox. You got Wicket right behind Princess Leia, who's lounging out in a lounge chair in her Slave Leia bikini, or her, what is it now? Her Hut Killer
Slave
outfit.
Leia's fine.
Yeah, and no, it's just, I mean, it's an awesome recreation of this
I didn't even know it was a recreation.
So well
and
done.
I was like, I'm featuring this just because it's so fucking far out. And then I see that, holy shit, they did this way back in the day, probably in the 80s. I'm guessing this was
leading up to
exactly
Jedi,
promo
right?
for Jedi. And my God, like, listen, is there a sexier looking sci-fi character than Princess Leia in that bikini? I'm sorry. Like, if you grew up when I did, like, that was everything. That to this day, when I see Carrie in that, when I do my rewatches of Jedi, I'm just like, my God, that was a beautiful thing. I know George was creepy and made her do that, and even told her to lose some more weight and shit. But fuck, that it's one of the most iconic bikini / costumes of all time for dirtbag, testosterone-laden males like myself.
I'm sure it was like one of the most purchased posters.
It had to have been, man. Yeah, especially back then, where you couldn't just get fucking XXX hardcore porn at the snap of a keyboard, you know?
Very true. So, good stuff there from @Paul6 on Instagram.
These young, they didn't have to do it. Like, I can remember the day I found my dad's stash, and it was like the greatest day of my life. I was like, yes. I no longer like have to hopefully find some in the woods that some creep left out there. I found my dad's shit. I got porn finally. And I remember, putting the tapes in, you'd have to memorize where they were at, rewind them when you were done. And then, now there's no sport in playing with yourself. And they can just go to any computer you have, your phone, and off to the races.
Very easy.
All right.
For sure.
Good job, @Paul6. Kick-ass shit.
Yeah. Kick-ass for sure. Next up in the top 5 is @Lima4Photos. Lima4, longtime follower of the show. Love you very much. Thank you for all your support.
Supporter. Yep. Stumps all the time.
This shot here, I mean, Lima has a very distinct style, and this is just like a perfect representation of that style. So what we see is like a very grounded wartime photo of the clones going like essentially like breaching a city that was under occupation by the CIS forces. You can see a shelled out building that one of the clones is using for partial cover with a B-1 battle droid dead at his feet. The other clones are like slowly moving into the town as the others give cover. I mean, this is just like, it's like gritty, realistic, like on the ground type of photography. that you would see if there was like a real wartime photographer there with the clones as they're like making their way through CIS occupied towns. So I just thought that this was a really awesome shot.
I just like that Lima always pairs them with modern day weapons of war. Like if you look, they're rolling through there with I think M16s.
Oh yeah, it's like real M16s.
And I know some people busting on it, but I actually think as cool as laser guns are and Star Wars weaponry, you can't tell me seeing. I don't know if that's I think that might be 5s there, the one that's in focus. Seeing them rolling through with a decked out assault rifle doesn't look even more badass.
I mean, it's
awesome. I love that, dude. I love it. Okay,
cool,
that's our boy at Lima4 Photos from the Philippines, I believe.
I do think you are correct there. So fantastic work as always, Lima. Thank you. Next up, this is a fantastic. I always love the crossovers with like, Star Wars and Alien or Star Wars and Predator. Right now we have a Star Wars crossover with Alien and Predator technically. This is from 850 Sith Lord on Instagram. What we see is good old Neo Boba Fett, so new Boba from Book of Boba and from the Mandoverse, taking on a straight up Predator that's wielding a human head, like skull and spine in one hand while Boba is swinging his gaffy stick. You can also see down by Boba's like ankle, there is a face hugger that is potentially about to jump on him.
Yeah, Boba's fucked here. I'm sorry, Boba fans, but
yeah,
I know he kind of held himself okay against Black K, but not really. Like he would have been killed if the Vespa gang didn't come in. So as much as we love Boba Fett and think he's a badass motherfucker, I'm pretty sure the Predator would eat his lunch.
I think so. I think that Boba's losing this fight, and then not only is he losing, he's about to get turned into an alien face hugger.
Yeah, that's not going to help. I wonder, like, if his space seal is on his helmet, because how sometimes they can just they can be in normal atmosphere, then go to space and never have to pressurize or anything.
Yeah, so I mean, this is like again, like at 850 Sith Lord just killed this one. The environment's fantastic. The posing of all the figures is fantastic. Putting like just all like there's actually 2 face huggers on here if you look at it. There's one by Boba's foot, and
there's one coming for the Predator too. It's like these dickheads.
Yeah, coming for
they're like, hey, let's go have a battle of the best, but let's do it on a xenomorph infested planet. To up the challenge a little bit.
Just incredible stuff here from 850 Sith Lord. So make sure to give them a follow as well. And then to close out the top 5 for this week, we have at Odal_studio. Odal's definitely made the top 5 before. And this is another shot that's like kind of similar to what we saw from Lima. It's almost like another kind of real-time war shot where it looks like we're on Mimban here. And it looks like one of the Mimban like troop commanders is talking to a new transfer, like somebody who's brand new to the squad. You see
Green
this guy
paint on the helmet,
not even in full uniform.
Yeah, you're right. Like
so, yeah, just really,
it's like he's wearing the mud trooper get up, but he also has stormtrooper chest, shoulder, elbow, and helmet armor. It's a very unique, like Kit Bash custom or just like a mashup figure. But to me, Nick, it's not so much the figure. It's got a nice sharp focus. It feels real. Like it does feel like we're looking at 2 real people talking behind the lines on a battlefield.
No, it does. I mean, it feels super grounded and realistic. You see in the background just all of the Imperial troops that are just kind of like standing around in conversation. I mean, this looks like it's probably like, late stages of the war. This is why they're getting like relief soldiers. This guy's can't even get a full set of matching armor. So he's got like you were saying, he's like wearing half stormtrooper armor and half like, Mimban trooper armor. It's just like a really cool grounded shot that like feels like it actually happened during the wartime in this particular time period in Star Wars. So I just thought it was well executed. in terms of the setup, environment, and then it just has that like realistic feel to it. So really enjoyed this from @odall_studio.
Right.
And that's it. That's the end of the top 5, and that's the end of our show. Definitely a longer show than we anticipated before the AHSOKA trailer dropped, but glad we got to talk through that in real time for you guys, because usually if stuff drops on Tuesday, we're late
typically
to it.
That would have released like at 5 o'clock today as we were doing the show, or tomorrow. So even though it kind of made me blow up all my pre-show assets, it did work out. We got something live. There you go, people. Those of you that get pissed that we do our show recaps a week late, at least we got the trailer done first. I was just thinking like 23rd, do we do the show Wednesday night? I'm like, nah, probably not. Probably not. We'll see. We'll see how we're feeling going into AHSOKA week. But it's good that we're getting that 2-episode premiere, which means I got a lot of work to do in the mornings just to satiate the mental illness. And that's truly all it is at this point, because YouTube has killed pretty much all of our growth again. Don't get love on shorts anymore. Back to the bullshit, but we're here. I digress. We push on. We do it for you. We can't quit you, fandos. In all seriousness, though, we love you. We love Star Wars. There's always time for Star Wars time. That's why we do what we do. We love to talk about it. So if you want to come along for the ride in between shows, make sure you know where to find the Star Wars Time bros on the internet, and that is starwarstime.net. Hit it up. We got all the links you need to figure out how to get linked in with the SWTS. If you want the live stream, we got the YouTube sub button right on the site. If you're listening now, go ahead and like this silly little live stream. Tell us what you thought about some of Nick's Take It to the Bank cha-chings today. He had 2 of them. Whether he was taking them or not, I took them to the bank for him. Okay? If you want to listen to us on the podcast, starwarstime.net, we got all the jump to links from there as well. Just a reminder, if you are doing the podcast or even YouTube, however you consume the show, the best way to let us know that you love or hate us is to leave ratings and reviews via those types of systems, if the platform has them, or comments. Anything to juice the algo, we appreciate. Even if you tell us that we look funny, we smell, or we suck, that is okay too. All right? And the reason that's okay, there's always time for Star Wars Time. Don't forget it. Bring a friend next time. That's going to be the best way to keep growing this thing. Let's lemming the fuck out of the Star Wars Time show. Just be like, hey, listen, just believe me. Go watch it. Follow me off this cliff of death, known as the SWTS. All right, people, you know how we like to leave you. If you do listen to our show or consume our content in any form, may the Force be with you. Always.